Yeah, forum. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Leo Jimenez. I am the chair of the Traffic and Transportation Committee, and I'll allow my colleagues.
Hi,
Please.
I'm Noemi and I am Vice Chair of Traffic and Transportation. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Jenny Person, and I'm on Traffic and Transportation, this committee, and also Parks.
I'm Ann Megas. I'm a member of CB12 on the Concerns of the Aging Committee and Land Use.
Bruce Robertson, public member for this committee and previously a full member on others.
Melissa Sims, Inwood resident, and I'm also a member of licensing.
Gerald Cochran, also a member of Parks Cultural Fair.
Jim Berlin, also member no. And I'm your board from.
Thank you. Anybody else online? Okay, I should say that we call the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Before we start the meeting, I want to give a moment of silence to our three community members that passed away in the fire last night early morning. It's tragic.
Who's that?
To Indictment Street. It was a very bad fire, about 17 injured, three fatalities. And you know, they're part of the family in our community, so we just want to give a moment of silence to the people that passed. And this goes for the record. If anybody wants to donate, please feel free to go to Trinity Church on Cummins Street. They're accepting donations, whether it's clothing, food, etc.
Toiletry.
Toiletry.
Just looked at it.
And we can forward that information. I know the board is gonna be forwarding an email, so they have it already. Okay, so moving on, I want to thank Melissa. Melissa has been consistent with taking notes and sending the meeting minutes. I kind of want to make sure, and Jody does as well, so thank you, Jody.
Oh, I didn't do it last time.
No, not last month, but you've helped as well. But Melissa has done it since she joined the committee, and Jody has provided a lot of information and notes for us. Noemi, who drafted the resolution last month for the Night Riley and has helped with the background. I encourage everyone to take notes, and if you could just forward it, it's a lot of work to write the meeting minutes resolution. Again, I have some support, but it would be nice to kind of have everybody on board. And as we move forward, leadership changes, we want to make sure that everybody knows how to write meeting minutes, knows how to write the resolutions, etc. All right. So without further ado, we do have one presentation tonight. I spoke with Laura earlier. They're not asking a resolution. They're just coming back with pretty much some update that they're going to start this project. And it's for the BX6 SBS South Bronx and East West Crosstown project. That's pretty long. Lau, are your colleagues on?
Hey Leo, evening everyone. A few of my colleagues are on from both DOT, DDC, and MTA, so whenever you're ready.
Can you provide the names so I can promote them? I don't see them as panelists. I know they were having issues logging on earlier.
Yeah, I think they're on as attendees.
And their names are?
So,
Well, they can raise their hands so that I can recognize. I see a Jose Rodriguez. Is he part of the presentation? Sarah Figueroa. Okay, we got it. We'll promote them. Okay, continue. Sarah Figueroa. Exactly. Right. Yeah, I think I got everyone. Well, all right. So feel free to take the show.
all right, well, good evening again, everyone. Lyle Bugger from DOT. Thanks for having us here tonight. I'm joined by a few of my colleagues from DOT as well as from DDC and the MCA to present the upcoming plans for the capital project scheduled for the BX6 SBS route. It's the one that goes through the Bronx and along West 155th Street, primarily within Manhattan, and a few parts also in CB12. and CB9 and CB10. So we've been making the rounds to all the community boards just to give them the update as to what's to come. Tara Figueroa from DDC will be leading us for the presentation tonight. So without any further ado, I'll pass it over to her, and we'll answer any questions that will come up afterwards. So Tara, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. If you can just confirm that it shows up on your end, and then I'll open it up a bit. Are you guys able to see it? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Bear with me. I'm just going to go to the very top. Again, my name is Tara Figueroa. I'm the community construction liaison for this project. This is the South Bronx East-West Crosstown SBS Bronx and Manhattan project. The project ID is HWX 100 SBS. For the agenda today, we're going to go over I'll make it as quick as possible for you guys, but it will be the project overview, project limits, project goals, proposed storage, typical maintenance and protection of traffic, community impacts and mitigation, community outreach, project schedule, and of course a Q&A at the end. Right here, we just have an overview of the project limits within Manhattan as a whole. So as you can see, majority of the work will be taking place in CB12, and then we have a little bit in CB9 and a very small slither of work right there in CB10. For the project limits within CB12, I just kind of sectioned out that bottom portion right there just to avoid any confusion. The red areas are all the work areas that will be taking place in CB12, and on the right, just a breakdown of the actual work. So on Broadway between West 157th to West 155th, we have traffic signal relocations, a new manhole installation, catch basin removal, an existing gas valve removal, sidewalk expansion, signal pole relocation, street light relocation, and some sidewalk reconstruction. On Amsterdam Ave and West 155th, we have expansion of a sidewalk, bus bulb installation, traffic light signal relocation. I apologize for my dog. She's upset. She's in the room right now. The street light traffic signal with pedestrian sign removal, fire hydrant relocations. And on Nicholas Place and West 155th Street, we have a new 15-inch combined sewer installation, sidewalk expansion, and a manhole installation. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna give her a treat real quick. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I am so sorry, guys. She's just trying to get attention. Okay. So for the project goals, we have to improve transit operations with the addition of bus pads, bus bulbs, curb and median extensions, and pedestrian refuge islands. This project will build upon prior operational DOT street improvements by permanently building out the above transit amenities along the corridor. For the storage area, as you can see here, it's going to be along Broadway between West 153rd and 55th. Now, technically, this falls within CB9. The shaded area is a tentative location for staging. When the contractor gets on site, he will determine if this is the area we're going to utilize. However, because it's so close to the work that falls within CB12, we are going to remain. The idea is to keep it there just so we can kind of utilize it for the work both in CB9 and 12. And on the bottom, I have an area where you can see the intended location for it, which is those no standing marked out areas to try to minimize impact to parking as much as possible. And the limits here are from West 153rd, as I said, to West 155th. But we do have a small area that does fall within CB12. So for here, the staging area on West 155th will be between St. Nicholas Ave and Edgecombe Ave. And the storage does stop between the bus lanes. As you can see on the map, I shaded off the area that falls within CB12. It falls right along that Dunkin' Donuts, and there's like a live image there. It'll be right before that bus stop. We do have a small area that I spoke to Ms. Diaz about that you can see right there on the right on Edgecombe. That is just temporary for the time that we're doing the catch basin work that's taking place over there. We did not want to leave any pipes on the hill itself for concern of it rolling down. I do apologize about my dog again. So for right now, it'll be on Edgecombe Avenue. But once that work for the catch basin is completed, they'll remove that and that parking area will go back to the public. For here, for the typical maintenance and protection of traffic, traffic enforcement agents have been approved on this project and will be used when necessary. The contractor, of course, does have their own flaggers, and we just have a general kind of setup as to if the work operation were, for example, that yellow shaded area, they would, of course, put those little orange dots are to indicate like barrels and such, and there will be flaggers on either end, allowing for traffic to flow through in either direction, if it's a two-way or one-way or what have you. For the community impacts during the construction, roadway lane closures are necessary, or as necessary, temporary loss of parking in certain work zones, temporary relocation of bus stops. Generally, in my experience, we kind of just will bag a bus stop and move it a little bit further back or ahead, depending on the work operation itself. Scheduled water main shutdowns may be necessary when doing hydrant installations or relocations. Weekend hours for construction can be necessary. And of course, I will work with any street vendors if we are impacting any. The contractor will work within DEP noise code regulations, keep storage site areas clean and safe, cover truck delivery fill materials, provide professional rodent control inspectors to monitor and maintain rodent control stations. Of course, garbage pickups, I will work with the DSNY to ensure that they're able to pick up the garbages in the areas impacted. For traffic patterns, signage and personnel will be provided to ensure a safe work site for pedestrians and vehicles, maintain pedestrian access to sidewalks, crosswalks, and buildings. We will, of course, always maintain emergency throughway traffic, play in any open roadway traffic when the site is unattended and not in use. Parking and driveway accesses may be restricted when we're doing our work. However, I will be sure to coordinate with any property owners or any, for example, working by the gas stations and such, to ensure that we can put a plate down when necessary. And full roadway closures may be necessary from time to time. For the community construction liaison, which is me, I, of course, will be the first point of contact, maintain an on-site presence with the community, identify and resolve any issues, distribute advisories and weekly construction bulletins, as well as my update newsletters, or provide 72 hours and 24-hour confirmation or cancellation advisories for work impact by via email and door-to-door. And of course, I will be attending the DSC meetings. This is just my information. Should you guys need it, to reach out to me, that is the email affiliated with this project, along with my office line number. I do apologize. My address for the office and the work hours for the work operation. Sorry. Are you guys able to see that Kristen is the project lead for this?
We
I don't know.
don't see it, but Kristen Hawthorne is the president.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Of course, these are the advisories that you guys can expect from me. I've sent out the project information card. I just have to drop by some hard copies. These are the advisories, of course, for example, no curbside parking, the weekly construction bulletin that I'll be sending out every Friday, and our quarterly updates. So these are just examples of what they look like and what to expect from me. And then for the project schedule, the design was completed September of 2024. Construction started early of 2026. For Manhattan, it was tentative early summer. However, I have reached out to Ms. Diaz as we started storing in the area and intend to start this coming week doing the catch basins on West 155th between St. Nicholas and Edgecombe. And the completed construction is for summer, fall. And that's it.
Thank you, Tara.
No
That was
problem.
a kind of reminder.
Yes, I was surprised to see you.
All right, Bruce.
I'm good.
Bruce has a question. Bruce, go ahead.
Okay.
Can you go back to the first slide, please?
Yep, absolutely. Bear with me. You guys can still see it on your end, right?
No, the one with
Yeah.
the app.
Sorry.
Third slide.
Yeah.
This
Okay,
one, or do you want this one?
so 157, no, back one.
Okay.
157, right where the bus stop is, the triangle is my building. And where
Okay.
the circle is, that's our natural gas input from the street. So please make a note not to screw that up. That's to our boiler.
So
Okay.
they do roofs before, they have markouts, so they have.
Yeah.
I know they're
periodic
talking
markup.
to in my building, but that's where it goes in, because I was involved in doing that. And, you know, we run along the Edward Morgan Place, right where the BX6 is on the corner of 157 and Edward Morgan. So any kind of impact on our building, we'd like to know about it in advance. So please.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Huh?
I said absolutely. I provide a 72-hour advisory, but as soon as I have any information, I provide it to you guys as quickly as I get it, just to kind of give you a general idea of the work.
Wayne Benjamin, who's our co-op president, he's chair of land use, so he's also concerned about this.
Okay.
We'll forward you her email.
Yeah.
So that you have any questions. Usually when they do this type of work, they'll have an inspector from Con Ed to come out.
Yeah.
Mark out if there's gas, utilities or anything in that area.
I know,
Yeah.
but we know more than Con Ed.
Yeah.
In certain.
Yeah,
instances. Yeah.
Yes, Ann.
This is actually a question for Bruce and Jody. How does this dovetail with the discussions around the direction?
I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't at all?
Mm-mm.
It doesn't dovetail or it doesn't?
Well, I mean, I really haven't had a chance to look at it closely relative to any design
It's all
plans that DOT has even provided us yet with. So, you know, really, it's just looking at, I think you probably know more about design plans for the 158th Street intersection.
Yeah, so this-
Because it does impact, our plan does impact where bus stops are relative to the BMX6.
But we don't move that bus stop that's on the corner going southbound.
Right, I just haven't, I mean, I don't know, I haven't looked at it really
And you
enough
two
to
of
be
you are
able
much more
to.
directly familiar
Yeah.
with it than I am, but
Yeah.
I just want to make
I
sure
would love
that
to
we're
look
not.
at it more closely,
Yeah.
Before,
I think it's okay, but we'll talk.
We'll request a presentation if allowed, if permissible, we'll request it, but I don't think it should affect
No.
it. Cause Lyle's on the call and the DOT sponsored project, that Lyle would have flagged it for us and said, hey, this is potentially happening. It kind of throws off what we're trying to do with the 158.
Right,
And
but I
they're
need somebody
fairly
to talk to in
inclined for
that
that.
building. Call me.
Yeah, we're connected with Tara. Tara's my colleague, so that anything, she's the first line of first point of
Very good.
contact and.
That's why all the trees are boxed in around the neighborhood. We're wondering what's going on.
Yeah, we have to start, that's how they mobilize when they start putting Cupid.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? We don't have to write a resolution, they're just coming to us in good faith and saying, hey, we're starting the work.
Will this impact the businesses along?
No,
Tara's done,
no.
part of the job is to do some surveying. I doubt it, but Tara could answer that.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, the question was would it impact the businesses where exactly you said?
Just in those red
In
zones.
general? So for example, if we're doing a hydrant relocation, that would require water shutdowns. Generally, they're a day or two. So if a business falls within the area of the limits of our shutdown, I would, of course, notify them 72 hours prior. Depending on the business would determine on how we go about that work operation. There, of course, is going to be some possible traffic when we're doing the work. So there'll be some inconveniences of that nature. But we're not doing anything where we're like directly in the sidewalk and impacting the business as far as allowing access to the business or anything like that.
Oh, thank you.
I can give your handouts to the local businesses. There's a coffee shop across the street, Semicolor,
Yeah,
and there's a bodega on the corner, and you know.
Yeah, I've been out in the area. I've introduced myself. I still have some more surveying to do because we've been doing a lot of work in the Bronx, but there's already quite a few people familiar with my face.
Thank you.
so one other question.
Yes.
How many parking spaces will be lost?
So not necessarily lost during, and I short answer, but during certain work operations for a time period, might remove some parking spaces, but as soon as the contract is done in that area, they give it back. So it's not, they're not coming and taking parking spaces.
No.
This is
After
a strip
implementation.
Bus stop.
And the storage is in front of church property. It looks like, right?
So basically with regards to the second slide, and I'll go to it now, you guys can still see it on your end, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just wanna make sure. So
Yeah,
this
thank
is the second one to just show you, because this is the one that we've already started setting up. This is by West 155th between St. Nicholas Ave and Edgecombe. The parking directly in front of the bus stop will be a staging area along with some of the area on the opposite side, but that doesn't technically fall within CB12, so I didn't include that. You can see it on the map here. That is going to be during the duration of the project. Now, if the contractor, once he moves on over, realizes there's really no need for it, we've discussed him then, removing that or minimizing it as much as possible to avoid as much impact to the community. This portion up here on Edgecombe is just temporary for the course of the work that's going to be taking place as far as the installations of the catch basins done on the corners. As far as the parking over here, this technically falls within CB9, but our hope is to utilize this area right here, which is directly across from the graveyard, and the church is on the opposite side. And we're hoping to utilize this no standing area so that way, if we're able to do that, then there will be no impact to parking over there.
Thank you. I have Steve Simon.
Mhm.
He's a community board member. Steve, and the chair of health and environment.
Yes, thank you, Leo. I have a couple of questions. First is, doesn't this project include upgrading the Ilka Tanya Payan Plaza on Broadway at 157th Street?
Upgrading the plaza itself, is that like the median area you're referring to?
Well, it's a triangle, and I thought this project included expanding the triangle into into what used to be a traffic lane on the north side.
I'm not entirely sure. I could look better at the
I
maps.
can speak
I
to
do
that. I can
apologize.
speak to that
Okay.
really quickly. Yes, all of the painted space that you see around the triangle at the moment will be upgraded to, sidewalk grade, fully built out on concrete. So we're going from temporary materials to permanent materials.
And aren't you then also repaving the entire triangle, the interior?
Yes, I believe we'd have to look at the details and the site drawings to know exactly where, but I believe there's, extensive painted space around the triangle. And
Yeah.
so as all of that is being built out, whatever needs to be replaced and reconstructed, existing will be matched for grades.
But there's like a cracked pavement within the triangle currently, which I thought you guys had agreed would be repaved.
If it's in the triangle, yes, it will be repaved.
All right, thank you. And my other question is concerns the reference you made earlier to water main shutdowns. I didn't realize that was a possibility as part of this project. Do you actually foresee that happening? And on what kind of how often would that happen, and how long would these water main shutdowns last?
So,
Would we get advance notice of
oh
at
yes,
least
absolutely.
several days in advance?
Yeah, so for water shutdowns, I give a 72-hour advance notice. And of course, if I know prior, I will just kind of advise you guys verbally and then provide the actual advisory the 72 hours prior, following with a 24-hour confirmation. This is for hydrants. So whenever we're replacing or installing a hydrant, it would require a shutdown. In my experience, it's for this contractor, it's been a day to 2. And of course, I would notify you guys of that timeline and when it's going to take place. I'd have to look at our maps to see how many hydrants in that area are going to be relocated. And then I can give you a more specific answer as to that. But it would be because of the hydrant installations.
And so each time there's a hydrant replaced, the water, that particular water main is going to be shut down.
Yeah, we would have to shut it down in order to do the installation.
For
The
as
shutdown, sorry, Steve, the shutdown is only during work hours. So
Yeah,
by the
so
end
it
of
would be
the
an
day,
8-hour
it's not
span.
gonna come.
I'm
And
sorry.
it could be, I'm sorry, it's about an 8-hour span. It could, of course, be less depending on how quickly they're able to get the installation done. And so far, my experience with this contractor, he's taken about a day to 2 for the hydrant. So that has been the timeline for the shutdown.
Well, I mean, a 2-day water main shutdown is going to
Well,
have.
Steve,
Well, it's not consecutive. It's 8 hours, then it goes back on, and then we shut it off again the next day. It's not as though we leave it off entirely.
yeah, Steve, they usually shut it down in the morning, and then an inspector goes around and confirms that the water's back on at the end of the work day. So by 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever the work hours, water should be back on.
And we've been done usually before that. Of course, we can go up into that timeline, but they've been done usually before that. And again, the idea is to try to get it done when generally people would be out of the house. So it's during, as he said, work hours.
All right. Well, we definitely need to give people a sufficient notice so they're prepared for this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I would provide the 72 at the very least. And if I know prior to that and I have your guys' emails, I can most certainly reach out to you and inform you of that.
And do you post notices in all of the affected buildings?
I
Steve,
will
if you
be
want-
when we do it.
We can connect with Tara offline just to move the meeting forward, but yes, they go and post notices, they send
Yep.
emails to the stakeholders. Again, she's my colleague, trust me, it's pretty thorough. All right, Allegra Legrand, hold on, I have a couple people, then we're gonna move on because we have a lengthy agenda and I'm not trying to be here all night. The Knicks are playing tonight. So, Allegra, let me give me 2 minutes and then Elizabeth Kofler Schumann.
Thank you, Leo. I'll keep it short. So we have heard a proposal from CB9 Traffic and Uniform Service member Felipe Castillo Trujillo about a bike lane across West 155th Street to connect the Hudson River Greenway with the Harlem River Greenway at its southern terminus. And I was curious, as even the slide that we have in front of us, Manhattan Transit Operations and Pedestrian Safety Improvements, one of the best safety improvements, as we well know from NYC DOT research, is to install bike lanes. And so I have not seen any intersection of the proposed bus lane with this proposed bike lane that both CB9 and CB12 have endorsed and submitted resolutions towards. And I would like to hear a commentary and see at least 2 or 3 slides on the proposed bike lane, bus lane intersection. Thanks.
Are you requesting a commentary right now? Or you're just saying for the future you'd like to see a presentation regarding that?
All right, she's muted. So we had a past resolution come up where we discussed bike lanes connecting
Mhm.
east to west. Obviously, it's not part of this plan, but maybe Lyle could answer that.
Yeah. I don't know if Lyle has any information on that. Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah, that's not part of this project. Lyle?
Yeah, we for this current design, there isn't a bike lane as a part of it. We've had conversations on our end to see if one might be able to be folded in as part of a future project. But currently we don't have any plans to install a bike lane along 155th. Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody else on my end can speak to that, but as of now, yeah, the current design that you see is the one that we're working with.
And just a point of information, we actually passed that resolution that Leg was referring to last year. This project came to us about almost 3 years ago now.
Yeah,
So
it was
they're
several.
just coming out to do a job. So, let me allow Elizabeth Kofler Schumann and then we'll close out with Ann.
I'm good.
Okay.
My question is simply if our viaduct problem, which is half shut down, is
Elizabeth,
going to be, yeah,
this is related to this project. We'll touch base with Lyle.
yeah,
the
I
next-
just want to know if this Bronx 6, who passes there, if that affects it at all.
It shouldn't.
If maybe speeds it up a little bit.
No, it
Thank
shouldn't.
you.
There's a stop
No, it shouldn't happen.
River Terrace right now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's operable.
Thank you. Steve, you have your hand up still. You have another question or?
No, I'm sorry. I should have taken it down.
No worries. All right. Well, thank you, Tara and DDC and DOT
Yeah.
for joining us.
Yeah, could
You guys will keep us well informed.
yeah, could we get a copy of the presentation?
Yes, one was sent to CB12, but I'll send one directly to Leo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Not
Thank
for
you
it.
guys so much for having us. I do apologize for my dog again. I try to keep her away and that backfired.
No, no worries. Trust me, we didn't hear it at all.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thank you. Have a good one. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Okay. That being said, Lyle, you're up to bat, man.
Very good, everyone. How are you, Leo?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Couple of updates for you this month. I'll start off with the viaduct. First, in regards to that, I know the CB's been requesting a site visit by the Riverside Viaduct. We reached out last week to follow up, and I reached out to my colleagues in DOT's bridges and legal divisions to coordinate. I've been advised by my colleagues that the contractor and the city are still in litigation over this project. Last week, the judge issued a temporary restraining order over the city's opposition, stopping DOT from conducting an opportunity to be heard to compel the contractor to explain why DOT should not find it in default under the contract. The city will continue to oppose this and any future injunction that further inhibits the city's ability to move the project forward. As such, DOT at this current time isn't able to advance any changes to the site at this point in the legal process. So I see all that to say, per my colleagues, as a result of the current and pending litigation, as this is still an ongoing legal matter, DOT is not conducting any site visits to the viaduct currently. As of now, that is the latest update I have available, but that can change in a few weeks. I've relayed this message to Anthony and to Leo. So they've been aware, and Anthony reached out to me afterwards in regards to the notice that I sent out. He's asked for more information regarding the case at hand. So I reached back out to my colleagues to see if they can provide the information he's looking for. I'll keep him and the community board updated as I receive that information. But in the meantime, I've also been advised that our bridges division has been able to establish a formal lane for emergency vehicles on the viaduct itself. And Valerie Torshon, the community liaison, sent flyers late last week out to elected officials, the community board, local precincts, FDNY, and residents to let them know. I also sent a copy of the flyer over to the community board today. So if you need one, you can reach out to me or to Leo. Valerie is also going to be placing these flyers on cars in the area to help spread the word. And she's also reaching out to the 33rd precinct this week to put this notice on their radar and to discuss efforts with them regarding enforcement in the area. So things that we are able to do in this area, at least at this point, should be established on site. And as information comes in regards to the legality of the case, and any other requests that the community board may have, we'll answer that as it comes in. But as of now, that's the information I have in regards to the viaducts.
Jody,
Another-
does anybody have any questions about the viaduct update?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, do you know where the case is pending? Like, is it a New York State Supreme Court case? And do you have any index numbers or any other information?
That I don't have. I think that's part of what Anthony's looking for, just to kind of follow on his end. That information I don't have. I know that this is currently with DOT legal. So, there's not information that I'm privy to.
You can touch base with Anthony. We actually got that information.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ann.
Lyle, this is Ann Megas. Lyle, when was the last, have you been to the site recently? Because I have, and I assure you that that emergency lane is blocked on a daily basis.
If it's blocked, then yeah, that becomes an enforcement issue. And we've heard about that since it's been established, which is one of the main reasons why Valerie is going to go reach out to the precinct to let them know that this lane is formally established on the viaduct itself. So hopefully that'll spur the 33rd to get additional enforcement over there in order to clear those cars. And also with her flyering, she's going to put those flyers on those cars if they're occupying the emergency lane. But hopefully that should be rectified fairly soon when she goes and speaks to the local precinct. I'll let her know that it's still going on, though. It's an issue.
Don't allow emergency vehicle access when
So
there's a fire or when there's a medical emergency in that 158-18 building.
what we're asking for is DOT to be a little more involved with these conversations with NYPD. Valerie, I know that she's point of contact, but it's
I mean,
there's
I,
more
I,
work.
Oh,
Go
no, I
ahead.
understand. Yeah, like I said, she also represents DOT as well. Like I said, she's with our Bridges division. She's a community liaison, but she represents DOT when speaking to anybody on site, whether it's the precinct or any local residents. So if she needs me to go up there as well or to provide any additional assistance, that's never a problem. I'll back up Valerie if she needs it. So if there's additional assistance, there's at least the two of us. So that shouldn't be an issue as far as getting the word out to the precinct and anyone else that we need to. And also, FDNY has been notified, and we've been having conversations with them. To this point, they've told us that they haven't seen any issues or had any concerns as far as being able to get along to that curb on the viaduct. But like I said, we're monitoring the situation. And if they have any issues or if PD has any issues, I will definitely have continuing conversations with those folks.
No, I did talk. So the reason that they have no issues is because community residents have reported that it's actually NYPD and FDNY parking at this location. So that's why we need DOT. I know Anthony's gonna mention it at the district service cabinet meeting. I forgot who Heidi's the chair of public safety, so she will mention it as well. I had conversations with her. But we also need DOT to kind of go in there and say, hey, if something were to happen, DOT, NYPD, and JIGA now are liable for whatever emergency issue we may have.
Well,
But
thanks for letting me know that if those vehicles are occupying the emergency lane are, for enforcement or if it's PD, then yeah, I'll definitely relay that. And like I said, I'll also reach out to the precinct to let them know that this area should remain clear for everyone else to use, well, for emergency vehicles to use. But thanks for the heads up. I wasn't aware of that, so I'll pass that information along.
let me let Jim.
I'm sorry, Jim.
The point is, and I think some of your words said that, the emergency lane should not have any vehicles parked on it, period, end of discussion. And the irony, or whatever you might want to call it, is the police department sort of does what it wants, but again, let's say hypothetically there were an emergency and they couldn't get the keys to the cars that are there, assuming they're not hanging out in the cars, then something very terrible could happen. So, if necessary, I would think someone, maybe Anthony, maybe someone at DOT has to go up to the level of the mayor and explain that the police department has to follow the law just like the rest of us, especially because this is an emergency lane. If it were a place where we had cotillions, not so important. But since it's an emergency lane, no one may park there.
Thank you. Jody?
Lyle, can you just let me know, when was the last time you had a site visit there personally?
I was there a few months ago. Where I saw it personally.
We were actually there March. So we
Oh, that's right. Yes, the last one I was up there was when when we had the walkthrough. Yes, that's right. Leo and I were up there a couple months ago. That's right.
And just one more question, or one more statement, actually. It's not just FDNY. Ambulances are not getting in emergency access route, and they're having a very difficult time finding their
Access to the building.
emergency victims. And so, nothing is actually working quite yet. And I have to just hit it home that this has been since November of 25 that we have literally been asking time and time again. And it's enforcement without a doubt, but it's DOT's responsibility to follow up and ensure that enforcement is going on. And maybe we need a car that sits there for a while and, make sure that this doesn't happen.
Understood. I'll pass that note. That's a good suggestion. I'll pass it along to my colleagues. And like I said, now that I am aware that it's the precinct that might be one of the perpetrators Yeah, I'll definitely reach out and have some conversations. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you. I have
Thank you.
Steve. Steve. Steve, you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. Lyle, in terms of the legal action, it sounds like the city is currently stymied in court. The judges is holding you back from defaulting the contractor and then getting a new contractor to replace him. I'm wondering if it might be helpful in terms of the city's position here, if the community board and others, the co-op boards, tenant associations, others, provided the city with supporting affidavits about the impact of this of this stalemate and how we're urging the court to take some action. Would you want to run that by people at Corp Counsel or at DOT Legal to see if they think it might be helpful to have affidavits from the community on this point?
And I'll add,
Sorry, sorry.
I'll add to Steve's comment. So I think I had a discussion prior to this meeting, and that's something we're kind of leaning on to have some impact statements through a reso asking for safe access, but also advocating Jew law and kind of pointing the fingers at saying they're a bad partner, they're a bad business, and DOT and other agencies should consider not going into business with this because of these issues. So, but you can go ahead and.
Yeah, but I think the way it has to be done in terms of the legalities is that we would have to provide a supporting affidavit for the legal papers that the city is presenting to the court.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to my colleagues. That might not be a bad idea if it's something that can help to support the argument. I'll definitely reach out on my end to our legal division.
Yeah.
And our business division to see if that's something that might be pursued. And Steve, if you can send me an email for that request tomorrow, I can definitely forward that to my colleagues or at least bring it up. That's no problem.
Steve, you can forward me something and I'll forward it. Or you can.
I'm sorry, what was that, Leo?
If you can, we'll forward it. But if you want to just send me a quick email, I'll forward it to Leo. We could get on top.
Yeah, you can CC Leo, and I can get the ball rolling and asking those questions. That's no problem.
Because I tell you, I'm sure that River Terrace, River Arts, the people in those buildings, they would be very willing to provide affidavits about the problems caused by this current stalemate.
Gotcha.
And
I'll see what I can find out for you.
Yeah.
No problem.
Lyle and Steve, there is a very active committee at River Arts Apartments. And in fact, Lyle, I don't know if you're aware of the fact that there was a council held on the 29th where there was a representative from the DOT there, and it was to talk about the viaduct, the status of the contract. And 3 people from River Arts, including myself, testified and gave their statements about what was happening, what wasn't happening there. Even though the front of River Arts is completed, it remains closed. A number of people submitted written testimonial that weren't able to show up for the hearing. So that is underway, and I'm sure that we could resubmit those to anybody that wants to, that would be helpful to see those. Because there are more actions planned, I believe, by the committee to save the viaduct, it's called. So just let us know where they should go.
Once Steve forwards that request and you run it through your people and they say that we'll add that into the mix and have her forward all those testimonies and comments.
Sounds good.
Right,
Yeah. No problem.
Lau, I sent you a list and thank you, Jody, again. Jody's very on top and she follows up with the resos we passed in support. I sent you a list and you have some responses and updates for us.
Yeah.
And then just cross-reference with certain ones that we are looking for answers on, but you can go ahead and provide some updates.
Yeah, so as Leo mentioned, he sent over a list of resolutions that CB12 has passed over the years that are specific to DOT. I've been going through the list to check on the status, And there should be an update one way or the other for each of these. A lot of these are projects that we have either had conversations about with the community board in the past couple of years and are in the process of installing. Some are projects that have already been installed, and others are projects that we will probably come to the community board at some point in the near future to discuss. So um, I'm still going through the list here. I have a couple of updates, but I'm going to send over the entire list for your review. If not tomorrow, then definitely by the end of this week. But yeah, there are quite a few on this list that we've done before. Let me see if I can find a couple. In regards to the safety improvements along Amsterdam Avenue, at least Upper Amsterdam, to Fort George, that was done as part of the first phase of our Amsterdam Street Improvement Project a little while back. I know that one of these also has been a request to continue that work further south, which is also part of the second phase that we presented a few months ago in regards to the area north of the Washington Bridge going to 188th Street. So installation on that should hopefully begin sometime during the summer. We're going, we've been having ongoing conversations as far as a traffic study and street improvement plan for 158th Street. We have installed school safety I'm trying to find the right word, but there was a school safety project that took place on Audubon Avenue, where the schools are north of the plaza between 160th and 170th. We installed those safety features, I think, at the beginning of the school year last year, and so on and so forth. Like I said, we have there should be an update for each of these. So instead of going through this entire list, I can definitely, like I said, send an update over to Leo, and then he can pass it along to you. But like I said, we've definitely taken a big chunk out of this, and we continue to as we go along. So we owe you some updates. We've done some installations here, and there's still some ongoing conversations. But like I said, I should have an update as far as each of these resolutions for you guys. If not tomorrow, then definitely by the end of this week. So stay tuned for that.
So can I just go through a couple of the ones that we've been hitting along the way, and also
Sure.
just that you were gonna be providing some updates for us on
Okay.
actually sometime before this meeting, actually. 165th Riverside Drive, where are we with that? Because I think it was supposed to start a while ago.
Yeah, it should, if it hasn't started yet, it should be starting very soon. I know we just milled and resurfaced the area not so long ago, so as part of the resurfacing, that's basically when the work's gonna start. So you should be seeing that probably, I would say, before the end of the month, when we start to resurface. So that should be in the works very, very soon.
Okay, great. And you just said, I'm sorry, I may have missed it, but 158th, you're getting that together for us, the intersection at West 158th and the corridor there?
Yeah, I mentioned in the past that Leo and I and Noemi have been having conversations, just informally, as far as the original proposal that we sent to the CB a few years ago. We're trying to see if we can on our end kind of do an updated version of that with everything that's in place now. I'm trying to see if I can get an update on my end. We don't have a formal presentation yet. We still are having ongoing conversations on our end. But the plan is to develop a proposal to bring before the community board at some point. We're trying to aim, well, my division is aiming for sooner rather than later. But like I said, as updates come in, I'll keep you posted. But yeah, we're starting to get the ball rolling and at least having those conversations internally and trying to get the ball rolling on trying to conduct some studies to see what we can figure out with that area. So more conversations to come. And as information comes in, I'll definitely keep you guys posted.
Yeah, I'll forward you again the presentation that was presented at the Grinnell
Mhm.
with things in that area that we had discussed prior. So I'm gonna forward you again because the ask is that DOT actually takes a look at this presentation.
Yeah.
And even though there's certain legalities, there's certain things on the street that DOT has to approve, that you guys at least consider some of the if not all in the presentation. So,
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, we're definitely, trust me, like that conversation that we had with the board, the residents and the council member, we're keeping that in mind when we're having these conversations. So we're trying to see if we can fold some of those requests and some of those concerns into an overall project. Like I said, stay tuned. And we'll see what we can come up with. But like I said, more conversations to come, and keep you posted as that information comes in. Nothing yet, but hopefully we're trying to do something. Hopefully, I'd say by the end of the year. So I'll keep you posted.
okay, I'll forward you that presentation just so that you have it and then you can push it forward.
No
Next,
problem.
lighting installed along the sidewalk, which runs parallel to Riverside Drive from 161st to 165 to the Rocky Run Dog Park.
Yeah, so the Rocky lights have been installed. I know that a few other light poles were installed just south of the intersection of 165th and Riverside. I don't think they go all the way down to 161st. I think they might go down maybe halfway. I think I'm going to reach out to our street lighting folks to see if we can do a study now that the new light installations are in, and to get their assessment as to if additional lighting south of where the lights are currently installed is warranted. But I'll make a formal request on behalf of the community board to at least conduct the study. So we at least have the Rocky lights in, and I think
Yeah,
a
that's
few
the
more,
only
but
thing I saw, Lyle. Only thing I've seen is the Rocky Run lights and nothing south of it. And that goes back to 2024 with you and Commissioner Pinkert promising.
yeah, I thought we had. I think there's one more, at least one more pole. I think that's south of the 165th intersection that we installed. Yeah, 'cause
Well,
I was on the site for that.
Don't worry. Let's both take a look at it. You take a look at it. I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
But we needed to go all the way down that stretch.
Okay, so I'll make another request or a formal request for those lights south of the 165th. I think they wanted to see what it would look like once Rocky lights are in, and now that they are, I'll see if we can move another lighting survey forward for that area south of 165th. So no worries.
Okay, and what about the embankment from 158 to 165? You're supposed to be coordinating with New York City DOT and New York City Parks to air clean and landscape that area.
Yeah, so I've notified my colleagues at DOT about the request and asked for a follow-up. I've been advised that their conversation is still ongoing between Parks and DOT above me. So I don't have any new information to report right now. I will keep you posted, but we are aware as far as Parks and Sanitation's request. Hopefully I'll have something for you next month, but I know conversations are ongoing between those folks, but nothing's been passed down to me yet. Hopefully I should have some more information for you in a few weeks or not in a couple of days.
Let me ask you a question. Does our Parks Committee have a formal resolution asking for coordination to clean up the
Well, it
area?
belongs to DOT. The entire stretch from 158 to 165 is DOT, except this very small part that is Lily Brown Playground, which is Parks. And so it's really on us to write the reso. I wrote one
You wrote one.
a while ago, but we decided to
So maybe we'll bring that.
because it was going to the district cabinet and maybe Ebenezer could push this through. Now, the problem that I have and the frustration I have is that two agencies are working very hard together to make this, to clean this. It is a mess and it is a huge problem for Parks, and it is not Parks's property, and they're asking DOT for help. Two agencies are asking DOT for help and they're not responding.
So next month, we'll bring forward that resolution and we'll just pass it.
Next is the traffic study for Fort Washington and 165th, the intersection there.
So I'll actually answer
Do you want
that.
to speak to that?
Yeah, so DOT they tried, but we can't do a traffic study yet because of the construction. Construction is throwing traffic off. So they have trucks coming in throughout the day, rerouting of traffic. So if they were to try to implement a traffic study, it actually wouldn't be.
Could we
beneficial.
write a resolution though that we want that to
We
happen?
did write a resolution.
That,
2 years ago.
because I did write a resolution on that also. But maybe we could redirect it in a way that maybe is that we need a traffic study Cause I think
That's
that
the
down
issue.
the
though.
road and these are the
We
issues.
can propose a resolution, but that won't be taken care of till another construction. That's another year.
Yeah.
Couple years, yeah.
So just to piggyback.
That's the issue. That we've spoken about it, and actually him and Danielle sit down with me. They're like, "Listen, we can propose traffic study, but it's gonna throw us off because once we have it, then we're gonna have to rework on
I
it in
see.
the future
I
because
see.
of the
Not gonna go
patterns
down.
of the traffic.
So let
They
me-
do constant rerouting, yeah, but
Okay, so let me move on.
Yeah.
Safety improvements along Amsterdam from 182. We had the presentation, we
Yeah.
wrote a resolution.
Yep.
Are we moving forward with that? I really want that to happen.
Yeah, installation for that hopefully should be beginning sometime in the summer. We're having conversations with Yeshiva in regards to coordination. They have a lot of street furniture in the area and their campus is right there, so we've been having conversations with them. The plan is to move forward with those installations sometime during the summer. So we're trying to get the outreach ramped up. We'll be sending out some flyers and just giving everyone the heads up when we're about to begin. So I'll pass that information along to the community board. But hopefully that should be starting sometime in the next, I'd say, so sometime during the summer, probably June, July, I'd say.
That's fantastic, because that's a very dangerous. I mean, we've got speeding, we've got all kinds of drag racing
Yeah.
going on that street, and it's been, I think Yeshiva has been asking for 4 years for some kind of help there. So I really want to push that forward and get that going, Lyle.
Yeah, we've been having conversations. We do too, especially since we've done the work north of 188th. So the plan was always to basically, have a continuous bike network, especially since we made the bike lanes along the Washington Bridge. So the plan pretty much is hopefully to connect everybody from the Bronx coming over the bridge onto the newly reestablished bike lane that'll run pretty much from 181st north and connect to the already established protected bike lane from 188th north to Fort George. So as information comes in, as far as a time frame, I'll be reaching out to you. But yeah, we're eager to get that started too. So hopefully in the summer, we should be able to get the ball rolling. So not too long from now.
Yeah, I think the curb extensions and the bus boarding islands would be helpful too.
We
Um,
agree.
Then we talked and there was a resolution written about eliminating 2 parking spaces on Amsterdam Avenue at West 180th Street, and improving traffic flow and helping with safety on the GW Bridge, and also moving a traffic light that needs to be moved in such a way that it provides better understanding for drivers.
Yeah, so the parking removal, I think, is also scheduled to take place during the summer. It'll probably take place with the rest of the installations for Amsterdam. I'm going to check with my colleagues, so maybe on a separate track, but that it is still a go for this year. So no worries about that. I will also check in with our signals division to see if they've done the physical shifting of the lights in order to make it a little bit more visibly palatable for cars as they approach the intersection. All these things, like I said, I'm not sure if they're on separate tracks yet or if these are essentially tied together as part of the overall street improvement project that's going to be there over the summer. But I'll see if I can get some updates for those 2 other situations, and I'll get back to the community board.
Okay, and then lastly, the intersection at 158, the Henry Hudson Parkway, you were going to take a look at that back a year ago, because it's really dangerous. You end up with 3 ramps converging at the bottom. You've got the northbound ramp, the southbound ramp, and then the northbound from it's like 3 different ramps come off at 158, and they merge at one point down, at like just south of 158, and it is very, very confusing. There's been serious accidents at that intersection, and you were going to take a look at it for us a year ago.
Okay, that's the one thing I don't have an update for you on right now, but I'm working on that. I'll try to see if I can get an update for you by the end of this week.
At the end of this week, yeah, somebody needs to go down and take a look at it because it's really dangerous.
Yeah, I think I remember we had a conversation about this a little while ago. So yeah, I'll see if I can get some information for you and some updates. But yeah, the one thing the one thing I wasn't able to get an update for you tonight, but I'm working on that. I'll see if I can get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay,
No
I have a
problem.
question from Daryl, then I have two attendees.
Okay, I don't know if it's now I should ask or a new business or.
Not you guys.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, no, I just had a few things. One was about that intersection of 165th and Riverside. It's more about the trash. I don't know. It's
150.
That's on the, I guess, the west side of that parking lot. And then it slopes down at the end onto Riverside.
On this side, you're referring to, right, going up 165th, like close to Fort Washington?
By the hospital, like just south of the hospital.
Okay.
You're at 165.
I think, yeah, 160.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, there's just tons of trash stuck between the fence and the edge of that, and it spills over into the sidewalk.
So somebody,
I don't know who's.
yeah, we might have to talk to Anthony, or Kiana, so they can mention the Mr. Service Standard meeting. Sanitation, but also the hospital.
Is that the
They
hospital
should-
owns that parking?
Yeah,
lot,
they
right?
should be cleaning.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. It's the embankment. That's the
Yeah,
parking.
it's like right
That
there.
is, I believe,
There does develop some sort of retaining wall further south, but
Yeah.
at 165th, there's no, it's
Yeah.
just dirt, it seems like.
well, that whole area.
Yeah, and it's, you can see all the trash is just.
Yeah.
Going across the street even. The other one was, and maybe you addressed this before, I'm still new to the committee, but 172 and Haven, the stairs.
No, we haven't addressed this, so.
Oh, okay, good. I don't know who those stairs belong to. Do you know what stairs I'm referring to? I mean, they're completely blocked off by a fence and there's trash. Someone, I don't know how recently, because I don't go by there all the time, but there's like cat houses there now. I don't know how they get over there.
Now, is that DOT jurisdiction? I wonder if that's.
It looks like it goes from Haven and the stairs go down to the highway. I guess.
Those abandoned.
Abandoned, yeah,
By 172nd in Haven or 177th in Haven?
172nd.
72.
Okay, I don't know if that's ours. I'm gonna try and look it up real quick on my side.
Some remnant of something, probably before the highway. I don't know.
Let's
I would
see.
guess that they are DOT because they were DOT staircase way back when, but they went somewhere dangerous or something, so. I
Yeah.
don't think it's been transferred from your department and consequently, in that case, you would be
Oh,
cleaning it.
I think it's not. Is it the retaining wall? Is that the one you mentioned that you're referring to? The
I
one.
mean, it may go down to a wall, but
No, we're talking about the stairs themselves.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'm on the. Oh, hold on.
there's
I'm on
lots of
the
debris
west side.
and just other things people have thrown over there.
It's a
It's
closed
dangerous.
stair street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, could you just add that to the many bullet points so we can follow up with that?
Okay.
I don't know who that belongs to, but if it is DOT, we expect.
And then I just had one more thing. I know when we went to the full board meeting last week, I noticed right there at Nagel and I guess Broadway,
Mhm.
where the post office, across the street from the post office, they had two postal trucks parked side by side, not back to
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
back. Blocking
that
off northbound, yeah.
Yeah, we've had issues. I've had issues with that post office with those. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's been an ongoing saga forever. It's post offices are kind of in a weird jurisdiction. They're federal vehicles, so in a lot of instances, they're exempt from the same local laws, and precincts don't like to interfere with them because of that. So a lot of times, postal vehicles just kind of park wherever they want to, with no fear of enforcement because usually they don't get enforced. I reached out to that post office many times over the years to let them know that they've been a bad neighbor because, a lot of the residents who live around there have complained as far as them taking up parking egregiously at Broadway and Nagel, and all points in between at the different intersections there. It's fallen on deaf ears a lot, though, unfortunately. All we can do is just keep on reaching out to the precinct in order to see if they can do anything, or in some instances, I know it's been escalated even further up. Some people have tried to reach out to the Postmaster General to put this on the radar, but a lot of times when it comes to post offices and their vehicles, they tend to ignore all enforcement, they feel that they're exempt because the fact that they're federal vehicles essentially allows them to feel that way. So our hands are tied, at least from a DOT perspective, and it's not just in the CB12, it's all throughout, at least in Manhattan. Because I've gotten a lot of complaints about a bunch of different post offices, especially in northern Manhattan. But that unfortunately does fall under enforcement, and a lot of times it's like pulling teeth to get the post office to be good neighbors. So, it's not like we're trying on our end, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've tried
It'd be
to.
different, yeah, if they were blocking parking spots, it'd be one thing. They're blocking traffic. Like there's 3 lanes and that it's down to
Yeah.
2.
Yep.
Or I'm
Yeah,
sorry, down to 1.
yeah, they double park a lot too on the Broadway side in particular. I've seen that over the years. It's consistent. They park in the crosswalk. They park up on Hillside. It's egregious. They're actually one of the more egregious post offices as far as how they utilize that space. And like I said, it's not for lack of a trying on my part as far as giving the heads up to the precinct. I know a lot of the residents around there have grown frustrated and they've done the same thing, but it seems to fall into their fears, unfortunately. But I'll keep trying to see if I can put this at least on the 33rd radar or 34th radar, so that they're aware.
There's a few items that whenever we talk about DOT that actually falls on enforcement, we should also bring this up to Haiti Public Safety so they can address it to the precinct because the 34th and 33rd actually attend their meetings. Even though I've been trying for them to come to at least one of our meetings every quarter. But we'll mention to them as well. We'll mention to Anthony and Kiana so they can reach out and say, hey, you're messing with me.
Yeah, that's been an issue forever, and it's pretty egregious over there. So I totally understand.
Like, what? That's not
Fred, and then I have 2 people, and then we'll move on from DOT.
Okay.
There was a contract let to replace all the curb cuts on like Port Washington, Pinehurst, Cabrini from at least 181 to top of that hill at like 190. Some of them are new curb cuts where there was never a curb cut. And of course they sit, but the lines haven't been painted and now it's been like a month. So maybe that's a different contractor with that contract, but since there's no paint there, the people just park and completely block them with absolute impunity. And so I'd like to know if they're, just throw that out there, if that contract has been let for the street painters to come and paint crosswalks.
Yeah, usually after milling on your surfacing, it does take a little while for the lane markings to be installed again. And sometimes it seems people tend to take advantage. I know that the city's been going around inspecting literally every single pedestrian ramp to determine if they're ADA compliant, which is probably some of the work that you're seeing around the area. I think that we're in parts of northern Manhattan currently. So if there's certain locations where you want to get an update as far as curbside regulations or the status of the lane markings, you can just reach out to me and I can see if I can get those particular locations as far as a time frame for you. So, and if anything, I can also alert PD just as far as enforcement purposes, but I know that they're a little tricky as far as signage and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you can give me those particular locations that you have questions about as far as those regulations and the status, I'll see what I can get for you as far as information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
We have Jose Rodriguez. He has a question for you.
Sure.
2 minutes, Jose.
Hi, how you guys doing? So, my name is Jose. I am a staff member with DSS HRA. We're stationed out of the 216th Street and 10th Avenue office. Some of you may be familiar. The area is home to 3 major city agencies. There's us here, so DSS, then there's MTA, and there's the Department of Sanitation. And the reason why I joined this meeting, and I want to preface this by saying I don't know if I need agency support to pursue this, but what we'd like is to see if there's any chance that we could update parking regulations on 216th Street between 10th Avenue and 11th Avenue. As it stands, it is reserved for the Department of Sanitation, and sometimes MTA folks, when their parking lot is full, use it for overflow. It's a white sign, it's a white no standing on our side, and then on the south side of 216th Street. It is delegated to the Department of Sanitation. We, are relegated to parking elsewhere or paying metered parking or using the parking lot that's nearby. So I just like to appeal to the community board and to the Department of Transportation to see if there's any kind of way that we can pursue updating the regs so that folks who work here and drive can maybe get placards and, being able to park here without fear of enforcement, receiving tickets for just, making their way to work and sometimes being unable to find parking elsewhere.
I can speak to the placards, but we do have an authorized parking division within DOT that can review that request. If you, let me see if I can put my email in the chat. If you can send me an email with that request, I can create a case on your behalf to see if we can determine the feasibility of installing essentially authorized vehicular parking for your agency. You said for HRA, correct?
Give me 1 second, I'll just do
Yes, that's.
Jose for.
Yeah. So we're HRA, DSS HRA. We house multiple levels of the program, but we belong to the larger DSS agency.
Okay. Oh, I know. I know where you guys are now. Okay. I know where you guys are located. Okay. Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat. If you can send me an email with that request, I can pass it along to my colleagues in our authorized parking division for their review, and they'll respond to your request one way or the other.
Sounds good. I don't know if I'm still muted, but if I'm not, I can't see what your email is.
Yeah, I didn't type it yet. Hold on.
Jose, you have my email. Just email me and I'll connect you with Lyle as well.
Sounds like a plan.
That works also.
Thank you both.
No problem.
Allegra, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. I have just a couple of questions. So first, thanks CB12 for the 9th Avenue and Broadway finally getting a curb cut. You did not actually install a crosswalk. It's been like 18 months that has not been ADA compliant. And I'd like to also say that I empathize with folks around Yeshiva not loving drag racing and donut making outside of the university. DOT and multiple other research studies have shown that bike lanes can help. Bump outs can help. And can we not have other traffic calming measures along these corridors, like paving stone stripes or armadillos constricting the lanes, bump outs in the road? And can we also have roadways that are not designed to be visually palatable? Lyle, I'm sorry, that is an expression that I had not heard before. Visually palatable for car drivers. I would like to have roadways that are visually palatable for the 85% of people who live in this neighborhood who get around by foot. And finally, for the person who spoke last, I don't know what all the jargon acronyms mean that he was speaking about. However, everyone who lives in this neighborhood, who works in this neighborhood, who has roots in this neighborhood, gets around by foot, by mass transit, by bike, and then as a distant tertiary by car. So I do not think that we need to provide parking for anyone. I think that folks who are privileged to work in our community should take advantage of our wonderful mass transit connections. Thank you.
Thank you, Allegra. Lyle, do you have any? Lyle?
No, I noted. Noted. I will see if I'll pass your concerns along as far as our Amsterdam project. Yeah.
Lyle, those curb cuts on 218, they should be ADA compliant near the hospitals.
They should, they should be. If they aren't ADA compliant, then they should. Then chances are we haven't gotten to them yet, and they will be at some point. But I know
is there any way we can push forward or expedite this? Again, this is a couple blocks away from the hospital.
Yeah, I can ask. I know that there's a citywide list that they're working with. I'll see if I can get a time frame for those in particular. It's by 2/18 and 9th, correct?
Yes, I believe.
Okay. All right. I'll see what I can find out. We do have a division within DOT, our pedestrian ramp division. Like I said, they're a citywide division. All of our divisions are citywide. So if this is on a future list, I'll see what I can find out for you.
Thank you. Do you have
No
any other updates before we move on?
Just quickly, as far as milling and resurfacing, our crews are still in northern Manhattan. I know you've seen them around in CB 12 over the past couple of weeks. Currently, we're in CB 10, just south of CB 12, pretty much in the 140s and the 150s. If we are in northern Manhattan at any point, at least for the community boards I cover, I will send an update to them so that you all are aware ahead of time as to where North Manhattan will be. Wait books will probably still be in CB 10 and probably parts of CB 9 for the next few weeks before we go back further down. But like I said, as our crews move throughout North Manhattan, I'll keep you posted as to where we are so you all can plan accordingly. That's it for me this month.
Thank you, Lyle.
No problem. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on. MTA updates, Alberto.
Hey Leo, good evening, and do want to start off by saying my heart goes out to that fire that happened this morning, and the loss of life is regrettable, and that's been heavy on my mind as we started my morning. So start with that. Moving on to MTA, I want to happy to report that DOT installed a bus shelter at 207 and Broadway that serves the BX7 and BXM1, if not mistaken. So that happened early in April. So that's a big win for the community there. DOT is also looking at where they can install future bus shelters. So if any locations, feel free to ping for Lyle and myself, and we'll flag for folks at the agency to have that installed if possible. I have an update for you, Leo, regarding the BXM1. I know we spoke earlier.
Yes. Yeah, video's not on, but great.
Yeah, so there's some history with that specific stop, right? So remember the private lines years ago, we took them over in 2005. Liberty Lines used to cover that route, and we adopted that in 2005. And the majority of the service pattern was left similar to what Liberty Lines was operating, which meant that every other trip did not serve Inwood during off-peak direction. So there are some times where the bus will not stop at that location during off-peak hours. So there is a stop in Dyckman and Sherman that she refers to. There is a stop.
Okay, but it doesn't serve during off-peak hours.
Correct. Every other bus that.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was the balance struck between ensuring the folks from Riverdale have a faster drive into Manhattan, but also serving the community who requested the stop and received the stop back in 2015 on Sherman.
And is there anything we can push forth so that we can have the same treatment as other communities? I like Riverdale, but I love my community a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I can ask our service delivery to take a look at the route in terms of ridership. The goal of express buses as a whole is to serve areas that don't have direct subway service, right? And fortunately, in Inwood, you have two local lines, the A and the 1. So it's a luxury, so to speak, to have the express bus. But I will definitely look into seeing the other service we can look at for servicing that.
Thank you. I'll forward an email.
Yeah.
There was at our last meeting for the new business. Then she emailed me with a request. I'll send it to Alberto. Yeah, some answers. All right. Anything else, Alberto? Oh, we have Omni issues.
Yes. So I know I came here to hear about those and try to speak to that if I can.
Yeah. So Wayne is not on. Wayne is the land use chair. He's also a board member. Well, he's a board member of the land use chair, and he had some issues in the past couple of weeks with Omni and refill. I know that you said that there was a system issue, or issue with the system, right? And that's been taken care of, or that's been resolved.
Correct. There was an auto reload issue with Cubic that has since been resolved, and they're in the process since last week, having those customers' accounts, I won't say restarted, but having that auto reload functionality restored.
Okay, just for future, in there's system issue like that, just make sure you let if your bus drivers and your people at a local station. I know that a couple community members complained that they got on buses and were actually kicked off because they were doing the right thing trying to pay. And I think if it's an MTA issue or system issue, it's not the community members' fault. So I would like that for the future or for the near future, if there's any other issues with the system, the MTA kind of extends that to their personnel so that we don't get kicked off a bus, or we don't get admitted into a train station because of a issue coming from MTA, such as the refill.
Correct. Definitely will walk that back.
Happened to you, Darryl?
Yeah, I mean, I did get kicked off the bus.
I haven't. I know Wayne didn't, but I spoke to someone who lives in my building. Oh yeah, they didn't.
I thought it was me, and I had to put in my PIN again. But then it sort of worked again, and then eventually it seems like it's working fine. But
okay. If anything, just
I
record.
didn't realize.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I do want to share a promising update that was reported at last month's committee meeting, MTA committee meeting. By the end of the year, the validator, so when you tap your Omni card, it'll say three things. It'll visually say transfer, it'll show your balance, and it'll show how many trips you are towards the fare capping or the free trips. So that's an update that's coming by the end of the year. I think it's a welcome development. I think everyone in this room, including myself, is happy to hear that. Long overdue, and that's forthcoming.
Great. Does anybody at the committee have questions? We'll start with Noemi, Jim, and Flat, something.
I have a comment based on the bus reader on 181st in Amsterdam is not working, so I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Is that for the select bus?
Yeah, that's the 101.
Okay. All right. So 181st. Okay. I'll flag that.
Thank you.
Jim?
I just wanted to comment that if someone is paying full fare and their Omni card doesn't work, they can use credit card. I think we charge the same amount.
Yeah, correct.
But of course, you're a senior citizen, then you be paying twice more.
Thank you, Jim.
I have a pie in the sky request. So I was going to the subway today. I saw the amazing board that said downtown trains in 4 minutes, 12 minutes, and 20 minutes. And I thought, wouldn't that be amazing if that showed up on my phone? That same board, that virtually everyone who's taking the subway starts from almost the same place every day. They're at home or from work. If you know it takes you 5 minutes to go from your door to the platform, you can obviously operate much more efficiently. Now, there are published timetables, but we all know that except for occasional times in the morning, they don't hit those times. So obviously that information exists. It's probably a wireless signal already. So it'd be something that'd be so amazing for the MTA to do that virtually every single person in New York benefit from at almost zero cost.
Did you hear
Great.
about it?
Yeah, so we recently updated the MTA app. I'm not sure if you have that app. That app, you can select your favorite stations or any station, and it'll show you the next scheduled trains by time, and it also by stop at what time you will arrive at those stops. So that already exists to an extent. But happy to walk that back if that's.
It does, but it's in not quite that clean and readable a format. So
I'll walk it back.
Well, I think the issue, I mean, it'd be nice if it was cleaner as you would like it, but if the information is there, that's significant. And the other thing is I've used the new app a bunch of times and it's significantly superior to its predecessor. And I think we've done a very good job of this stuff.
I'll let the team know. Both items, the praise and also the request. And I also want folks to know that we have a monthly survey. I know that's probably a frustrating term to use, but we have a monthly survey and we want to hear everything good and bad of the service, of the app, etc. And that gets reviewed by the teams every month, and that kind of informs the reports that we present at the board and committee.
Thank you, Alberto. Let me allow Peter 2 minutes. Peter Reeves. Peter, you can mute yourself.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, all right, nice to see you guys again, at least virtually. Sorry I couldn't make it in person. Just a minor comment, Fred, that does exist. You just gotta look through like your widgets. It's usually exists as a live widget, like on iOS. I'm sure Android has an equivalent thing, but like my father's been using that, for example, for like 6 years. So there's definitely something you can do to have a clean arrival time for your favorite stations right on your home screen. My other comment is, Alberto, I don't know if you remember me asking previously, but the situation at Dykeman has not really gotten much better, especially late at night. There are people that are, I hate to say it. I mean, they need help, right? They're loitering, they're sitting around at the exits and traversing the underpass and doing illegal drugs, right? I'm not talking like weed, talking like crack or other things like that. So are there any updates you can share with us about that?
Yeah, that has been on my radar. The station manager, myself, we've really been feeling a lot of complaints as you're stating, and we're trying to push local transit district NYPD to be more visible, involved, and escort these folks out of the station, but also have our homeless outreach get these folks some assistance. I think kicking them out to street level doesn't exactly solve the problem, right? You move it. I think it's twofold. We're trying to remove them from the station, get them help, but we also have Scout. So Scout is we have a clinical nurse, NPD go into the station and involuntarily remove these folks and get them treatment at the hospital if they show signs of, even if it's drug-induced psychosis, for example, then that's a program that we've been able to use last year or so. But I'll definitely focus on getting Dykeman some much needed attention. I think Uptown from 168 on up definitely needs the added attention, and we're cognizant of that, and we're going to try to get that going.
Yeah, especially because, there have been a couple of incidents that have made the news recently. I don't want to get graphic or anything, but like it's very concerning the frequency with which these happen. Like I understand that they will happen to some extent. But I've been a resident here for like 27 years and the frequency is definitely like on an uptick for the more graphic and violent type of incidents going on. So I can't help but feel like they're related.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's also an issue we're gonna forward. And Peter, I would advise you as well to attend our public safety committee. A lot of these issues, if NYPD hears it firsthand, and the agencies are reaching out to them, the board office, they mentioned it during the district service county meeting. I think it starts just kind of getting the ball rolling to things. Let me let Allegra, and then we'll close off MTA with everyone.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks so much. I'm not 100% sure that NYPD is best equipped for like mental health and substance abuse challenges, but that's like a longer conversation. So I'd like to talk about two things, the Omni cards for students and also the BXM1. Omni cards for students, I put in the Q&A. The kids at the specialized high school in Queens, they had some media coverage for many of the same topics that I've brought up to Alberto previously. Omni cards, they're fragile. They are sensitive to all kinds of magnets, which we have in every kind of smart device forever. They are faced with challenges when their card is somehow disabled and getting to school. Then they're left with like, do I jump the turnstile or do I not get my education? It is a whole smorgasbord of bad things related to Omni. It needs to be addressed. We need to have a formal community board discussion here in Community Board 12 and every other community board across Manhattan about the implementation of Omni as student ways of getting to and from school. And second, I have some things to tell you about the BXM1. And that is that every morning you will see people, lined up outside of Allen Pavilion, lined up outside of the Capitol Diner, and over there on Dyckman Street, waiting to get to work on the BXM1. On the return journey, the BXM1 is not a reliable way to get back to Inwood. Whatever programmatically, GPS wise, that MTA releases on its MTA apps on how you get around to Google and whatever other third-party APIs are unreliable. You will be stranded for hours on end. My own kid, when she was a freshman in high school, she was at a school on the Upper East Side. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to stand there and watch buses that are supposed to be 2 minutes away, BXM1, they don't come and get you. They never come and get you. You see a BXM1 blow past you. It says it's going to Riverdale. None of them stop at Dyckman Street. None of them do. You cannot rely on that bus to get back home to Inwood. Something is fundamentally flawed with their system. And I know it is not because of good people like Alberto. It is probably a software engineering or something otherwise, but no one in the neighborhood relies on this to get home. So if you could address the Omni issue with the student cards, and then the BXM1, we actually do need a way to get from Inwood to the Upper East Side. That would be great.
Thank you, Levy.
Great. Thank you, Allegra. So the student Omni issue, we are currently looking at starting a pilot for the digital card for students. So those who need a digital card can put on their phone. We understand that some folks don't have access to a phone. So we're going to look at how those students can continue to have their Omni cards. And then for the BXM1, we'll certainly look at how to improve that service. I'll bring this back to the team because the bus should be reliable, and we're going to look at ways to improve that.
Thank you, Bert. John has a comment here,
Sure.
and then we'll close out there. Go ahead, John.
I'm John Salvos, the president of St. Spiridon Church, located at 124 Wadsworth Avenue. We've been here before talking about parking issues we've had. And thank you very much. Signs for change. We're very appreciative of that. But the situation recently I wanted to highlight was the bus situation. We highlighted before that the buses are stopping on 179th Street, and there's a staging area, if you will. They have their routes. Buses lined up there, creates a lot of pollution. We have a school on the corner, and on top of that, traffic is just crazy. Certain times of day you cannot move in that neighborhood. And it's not only unhealthy, but if you think about it, as we talked about emergency vehicles, they can't pass. So it's really, I'm not sure if the MTA could perhaps look at a routing change. I know that we had talked about this several years ago, and that periodically they do routing assessments. And maybe it's time to do that again, because it's just gotten worse here. And I recall when I grew up in the neighborhood, so when I was younger, we never had a bus stop there. I don't know where the route was exactly, or if it's been added since then, but I think at this point in time, it's something that we should look into.
Roberta, did you hear that?
Yeah, I'll speak to the team and see what the story is and if there's anything we can change.
For the meantime, I think an immediate solution would be if you can have the buses stage further up, past Broadway between Washington and Broadway. I think especially the school, I think it's an issue if kids are crossing and buses are parked, there's limited visibility. Yeah, obviously the pollution is a huge health issue, and Steve, some of the lines, I'm sure Steve's ears perked up with that one. So if it's possible, can you just speak to the team or the bus dispatcher in that area, and just have them park a little further up, a little further west?
Yeah, I'll speak to the team and review curb regulations. Like if we can't park there, then we can't do it. But I'll definitely speak to the team and see what we can do in the meantime.
And then for the bus route, maybe we'll come back and talk about it. We discussed it's madness and chaos during busy hours to get through to 183rd in Wadsworth to about 179 for 78 from Wadsworth. So if maybe the street is pretty narrow, it's a two-way street, but it's pretty narrow. Maybe the conversation needs to happen on the bus route.
We'll see. But just know most folks here don't own cars. Remember that.
Yeah, no, I got it. All right. Daryl, and then we'll close on TA because we have been,
Just a question about, I don't know what you call them, like electronic billboards or whatever that show
the wayfinding signs.
Yeah, is that, well, it's like the time above the subway entrances. I just assumed, cause there was like a regular billboard that was taken down at 181. The A train at 181 in Fort Washington. So I assumed one of those electronic things were going up, but now it's still just empty. And there's a lot of them downtown, but we don't have many up here.
Roberto, did you hear that?
Yeah, if it's a digital ad you're referring to into the station or no?
Well, yeah, it used to be an ad. Now it was taken down. So I thought it was gonna be an electronic billboard to show the times of like the next train's coming in, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Usually out front manages those spaces. So if they don't have the station slated for a timer or an ad space, they won't replace the sign, but I can see where we're at in the pipeline for that station.
All right, Alberto, thank you for joining us. We'll close out MTA. Alberto, we'll see you next month, and we'll be in contact.
Sure, talk soon.
All right, so Steve is gonna join us. So last year, let me give some context, and then Steve can kind of lead us here. Last year, we had a public hearing in May, let's say May 2025, regarding noise in the public plaza. We heard testimonies from the Wahi Noise Task Force, from other community residents. We had conversations with the agencies. You drafted a resolution, a joint resolution between Health and Environment and ourselves, that we present to the board. Unfortunately, it was rejected by the board. So Anthony and Steve have brought up, now that the summer's coming, we have events on our plazas, so we kind of want to revisit this and not put limitations necessarily, but put some standard so that when SAPO is the agency that gives permits for these events, so that when they do permit these events, they consider certain things that we request or require from our community. And Steve forwarded me the resolution, which he made some edits, and I forwarded it to everyone during this meeting. So it's on your phones, it should be in your phones, your emails afternoon. If you guys want to go through that. But Steve, go ahead.
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, I think you covered it fairly well. I mean, the major points were back then that people raised, but they didn't want to have events with amplified sound back to back on weekends, on both Saturdays and Sundays. They wanted prior notice of the events so they could anticipate them happening and then either leave the neighborhood or maybe attend them if that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make sure that they didn't extend past 8 o'clock at night. They wanted to make sure that there was enforcement, that the rules would be followed, and not just with respect to events that get permits, but also but people apparently were just showing up there and then doing their own thing and treating it as though it was a concert venue and holding their own ad hoc events, so that enforcement would also be needed, not just to make sure that the permitted events follow the rules, but also that people can't take advantage of the space and conduct unpermitted events as well. So I mean, the resolution basically, I think, summarizes the main points that were raised at that hearing back in May of last year. And then we call upon SAPO and DOT to provide advance notice of all permitted events at the public plazas to Community Board 12. And I should make the point that this resolution doesn't necessarily apply to just one plaza. It applies to all of them in our district. I believe we have 5 or 6 of them. So we would in this resolution call upon SAPO and DOT, as I said, to provide advance notice of all permitted events to Community Board 12, so that we can help publicize them, and also require that the event organizers notify the surrounding community, that we would ask them to prohibit the scheduling of back-to-back permitted events, especially on weekends. We would ask them to limit the permitted amplified sound at public plaza events to a maximum of 4 consecutive hours per day. We would ensure that no permitted events with amplified sound extend past 8 p.m. We would require that bulletin boards or some kind of visible signage be installed at all the public plazas displaying notices of the upcoming events. And we additionally resolved that we call upon the two precincts, DOT and the DEP, to enforce the time limits and sound restrictions at all these events, including ensuring that permitted events conclude on time and that unauthorized events are addressed promptly and effectively, and monitor the recurring noise complaints and take appropriate action against repeat offenders. And finally, an idea that came up during the course of these discussions, we would resolve that the City of New York should explore instituting a noise mitigation program for older residential buildings affected by the sustained noise from outside sources, including retrofitting windows or soundproofing.
I'm gonna forward this resolution to everyone, so it's in your email. We're more than likely gonna pass it through health, or ratify, I guess, at the exec. But I do want to provide comments or any edits if anyone has. I read the reso. I think it's pretty good. I think it underlines certain things that will highlight certain things that we did touch upon before, and it addresses what I feel like most people weren't too happy about. Jim?
I just want to address the last thing that Steve said. About, soundproofing buildings and all that. The answer to the noise problem is enforcement. And if we could get the enforcement to work properly, which involves the police department to take appropriate responsibility, maybe some other agencies as well, then we don't have to go through this costly, changing a building stuff. Unfortunately, and this has happened over the years with mainly this committee, because there is no enforcement, sometimes we're forced to create extra infrastructure to basically force cars to stay where we want them to. But if there were proper enforcement, we wouldn't need that infrastructure. So I'm just repeating myself, but the issue is enforcement, and now maybe we have, it's possible we might have a slightly more active public safety committee, I don't know. But, and then the key, it's just a reality. We cannot order the police to do things that basically annoys them. But the best tool is to cajole them and ask for their cooperation and stuff. I find that works much better. And I think that's something that especially our public safety committee should pursue.
So you suggest that we should make it a joint resolution with public safety as well? Since it highlights those points?
Absolutely, because then, order for these things to, well, either the police enforces the various rules that we have for these plazas, or we need yet another agency to be ridiculous. So I think I like your suggestion that public safety should, the resolution should come from them as well.
Steve?
Oh, are you asking my opinion? I think that's a good idea. I think having it come from 3 committees is better than 2. So, and it certainly has a public safety aspect to it, since we do refer to the 2 precincts. So I think Jim's suggestion is a good one. I must say that I also agree with him on that last resolved. I mean, it's that wasn't necessarily my idea. But somebody did suggest it, and we decided to incorporate it. But clearly, that's a that's really a solution which might have just a minimal impact. Who knows if there are incentive programs where landlords do building rehabs and maybe in the process of doing a building rehab when they're changing windows, they should get a thicker window. But this is not something that you know, if it had been suggested years ago when there was a wave of building rehabs going through our community, then maybe that would have had a stronger impact. Nowadays, I don't see this being very impactful. But if you think we should take it out, I wouldn't fight you over it. But it just seemed like
Actually, let me let Jim.
Well, this is just a technical thing because a bunch of years ago, my co-op put in 7,000 new windows, and in fact, they keep the sound down much better. And it's not that they're thicker, they're double pane windows. But the thing that's so clever about it, and of course I taught physics, is the two panes have different thicknesses and therefore absorb different frequencies. And these new windows are so. Well, what we might want to do, because we're also talking about noise in general, is, indicate that when these rehabs occur, landlords should look into getting these noise abating windows, and I don't think they cost a penny more, because it's just two different thicknesses of glass.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so I totally agree that enforcement is critical, but preceding enforcement is communicating what the rules are in these parks. And we have found that on our front-facing apartments at River Arts, I'm not so fortunate, I don't face the river. People were really suffering from the late night parties and the noises, and actually Darley Cornell, who's also a member, went down and walked the park early one evening and spoke in Spanish to a lot of the people who were partying, who had, the music turned up, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that there was a time limit to music. I didn't know that it's communication." So yeah, enforcement's important, but you can't expect people to follow rules that they don't know about.
So maybe we'll include as or as that we're asking the agencies, parks, DP, DOT, RPD to push out that information, because again, if the lack of information, lack of knowledge can potentially curb the excess noise, which is a good point. Some people don't really
And
know.
if you don't know what the rules are, how are you
Yeah.
expected to follow?
So maybe we can include something of that sort, Steve. I actually think it's a good.
But
idea.
just an aside on this, if you're pulling a permit, you know what those rules are. I think those are people in the park that
People
don't
that-
have a permit at all. So that's a
Yeah.
separate issue. It's the same issue, but it's a
Yeah, but
separate.
I think it's a good idea, because if people go barbecue or people go to plazas, right? Plazas are meant to have an area, a public space for people to convene, right? So if they don't know the rules, because even in our plaza, there's nothing that says no noise at a certain time, no. If they don't know, and there's something visual or someone can identify, and now it's a different story. So,
the upside to this resolution, I believe, is that we are going to establish rules for the first time, perhaps. No, the reason perhaps people don't know what the rules are is because they don't seem to have any rules. We're now going to tell them they have to have rules, and this is what they should be. And maybe what we should indicate is that the rules should
be posted somewhere on the platform.
Rules should be posted. Yes, I'm gonna add that to the resolution.
Okay.
That's the key, is that they
Yeah.
need to be posted.
Perfect.
At the
Plaza,
plaza level.
plaza,
Yeah.
or anywhere they do events, but yeah.
Wherever there's.
Okay.
Numerous languages.
Yeah. And would that be a parks resolution? Because we could.
No, this
No, the plazas fall under DOT.
this is a resolution that only deals with the plazas.
Mhm.
The plazas do not come under the Parks Department jurisdiction.
Yeah, parks actually have rules for like times that you're supposed. I think you can't be in a park past.
I see the signs about like entering, but not using.
Oh, no, if you read carefully.
Fred, go ahead.
So I'm just, summarizing what was just said. So now you're changing the resolution to say that there's gonna be a time limit on every plaza, regardless of whether you have a permit or not. A particular sound level, you probably have to designate, and a time. And then there's also, at that point, you would say that if you get a sample permit, it has to cue whatever constraints are of that plaza, which has already been established, which would set your upper time limit. Whatever their noise level is, which is like way too high already, because I know like 85 dB, there was something in Bennett Park and I was full 2 city blocks away and it was still 85 dB, which was like super whooper loud. So.
Well, the decibel levels are set by the city noise code. And so we're not going to, we're not getting into that level of detail, establishing the, what are the appropriate sound levels. Those are already established by the city noise code. And probably whatever you heard was in excess of the allowable standards. But what we're saying here is that the noise code should be enforced at these plazas.
But you have to specifically say that no one can get a permit past 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's in the resolution.
Yeah,
That's in the resolution.
Yeah, 8 o'clock is in the resolution, yes.
Steve, and then we'll close this out. I think we're on the same page. I'm sorry, I've been doing this.
It's an honor to be part of Steve, and I had a wonderful cousin too. But anyway, I saw a news thing a while ago, and apparently there's some new kind of decibel meter that's, the old ones were so finicky, you had to be an expert to run it, and only certain people, like there was one person in the precinct that ran the decibel meter. Apparently there's a new one and it works right, and the city will be distributing it. So it may be much easier in the future for us, you know, and you don't have to be a technical expert to operate it anyway.
Well, at my meeting on Thursday night, we're getting a presentation from DEP about a new noise monitoring app, which anybody apparently can use on their phone.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Actually,
Look at that.
Fred is showing us the app right now.
Okay, well, if you join my meeting on Thursday night, you'll hear all about it.
All right. Do we have any more comments on this? I think we're on the same page. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. Are we gonna push it through exec?
I'm sorry?
Are we pushing this through exec?
I thought we were just gonna do it through our committees.
Okay.
I think that's what Anthony asked us to do.
All right, so we're gonna then vote on this on the committee level. And then you guys have the copy of the draft of the reso. If we have anything else that we want to add, please, let's do it before Steve's committee. But are we gonna, let's vote either in support or opposition of the reso on noises in public plazas. Okay, so we'll start with Naomi.
Abstain.
Me abstains. Jody?
Yes.
Yes. Jim?
Yes.
And yes, Daryl?
Yes.
Alyssa?
Yes.
We'll go to the public members groups.
I haven't seen it, so I'll abstain.
I sent it, but just take a look, went past, you know.
Yeah,
Fred?
yeah.
Yes.
Fred, yes. I'm gonna abstain as well. I'm not reading it, but. And then, and. Members of.
Abstain too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's three abstentions, four abstentions, 1, 2, 3, and 4 yeses.
I think there were 5 yeses.
Jody, Jim, Melissa, and Fred. Bruce, sorry, Daniel. Yes, 5 yeses. So this passes committee. And moving forward with health, we're gonna suggest to Heidi in public safety. And then we'll discuss it again at the general board meeting.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe it's more for the full board meeting, but I remember last time this was introduced, they ran into some issues. It did not pass. It was just said that there was language put in this that would, you know, help that situation, but quite honestly, from the vote tonight, it doesn't seem like.
So I'll give you the reason and then.
Yeah, and I don't want to put anyone.
I'll give you the reason. So a lot of times, these events are catered by people of color, Latino people, right? The music, the noise comes, And what that does is kind of takes away our space to do certain things. You gotta remember, a lot of influence comes from our culture. Our culture is pretty loud. Culture loves music, loves dancing. And I feel like, at least on my end, something like this will prevent organizations, organizers, and certain events from coming in our community.
I'm sorry.
From coming to our community.
Okay.
It limits it. So that's where, that's my, and last year, that's a lot of the people who abstained and said, no, it was the same thing. It was, when it breaks down, it goes to race and certain things. So yes, no, I cannot support it.
But just something you said though, coming into our community and come from where? If they're part of our community.
From within our community.
Great.
Yeah, from within our
If they're
community.
coming from outside the community.
From
that's
within our
not really-
community.
Yeah.
From within our community.
Okay.
But
What about to solve that problem, you can pull a permit without amplified sound until 11 PM?
so then it will go to the other side where they're like, no, well, that's not fair. That's what we're arguing about. These events cause these issues.
But if you don't have amplified sound, all you have is people talking.
A lot of these events are like concerts, events,
Dancing.
dancing and stuff like that. So
And right.
it limits you. It limits you.
Absolutely.
That's where the divide happens. I'll give you
Yeah.
some context. So this was told to me recently, which I was pretty upset. I'm Dominican my whole life, first generation American.
No.
Half your life. Especially, right? So we used to have the Dominican festival up here as of about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, probably pre-pandemic. The board voted for the Dominican festival to go away. We thought it was too loud. We thought a lot of violence and crime were happening because of these festivals. When I heard it, I was like, yes, a lot of these events, a lot of these festivals do have the bad parties, the bad people who come in and do certain things, but that doesn't necessarily represent the majority of us. I was pretty upset that we as a board shot it down, and I have been adamant that I'm going to bring it back to the state.
Leo, I don't think that's true.
That's what I was told.
I don't remember ever voting down having a Dominican.
Kiana told me. Well, we can bring it up to Kiana. It was mentioned to me a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
I don't.
Why would I, as a board,
I don't think that's true.
All right, we'll talk more internally. That's what I was told. Whether it's the case or not, it will be something that I will push forward. Again, I'm not saying it should be past 8 PM. No, I think that you have to have limitations.
Yeah,
I don't think
all over this.
that it's fair for the people who live there, people who work here, but we should not limit those who want to have events, because the reality is most people are actually good actors. You do have your bad apples, but
people value quiet too.
Yeah, no, of course. That's what I'm saying. We limit certain things.
I would bring up the counterpoint too. I mean, that was actually one of the first meetings that I went to, being my first year. And I would also say, like, being half Latino also, like, there were people of color that were speaking against it, because there's a lot of people. There was one plaza in particular, people live there. There were actually two plazas where people live right there. And they were speaking about the fact that they can't sleep. They can't, they can't enjoy their apartments. They can't enjoy their peace and quiet. And as to, I've seen some of the concerts that have happened at a few plazas, and I don't think they're necessarily people in our community. We're bringing in acts from outside of the community to perform for people in our community. It's not like we're having artists from Inwood and Washington Heights performing on stage.
Yeah.
So I think that's, that's kind of the counterpoint. So,
Good point.
yeah.
Yeah, Fred, we'll move
The
on.
other question is finding an appropriate venue. It doesn't, like, the marina is, no one lives near there.
But now it's privately owned, so you would have to go speak to them.
Well, it's licensed through parks.
yeah.
And it's actually closing, I think, because of the whole.
But
rest of it.
Oh, yeah?
July.
All right, so, but
Yeah.
a similar place that's non-residential, where you can go all night.
I think necessarily when people have these concerts, I don't think going all night is the issue. And that's where I agree with certain things. If we set a limit on time and stuff like that, it works for everyone, right? If past 8 PM, I think it is a little bit of a nuisance. And that's regardless of what culture you're here. Some people value sleep, some people value peace and quiet. So I just think when it's certain things in the whereas,
But the other thing, certain noise, sound levels are literally harmful. So a lot of the younger generation, which includes all of you, by my standards, you all hard of hearing because you all went to these loud concerts. And the other, I'll give you another tiny piece of information. Anytime you're at a concert and your ears start ringing, your ears have literally already been harmed. That ringing comes from your inside of your cochlea being damaged. So it shouldn't be that loud just for the participants, you know, and they can be plenty loud without damaging people's ears.
And our watches have, you're in a
Oh,
loud
yeah, my
environment
watch yells.
setting, you know.
This is a dumb question, but can people in the CB pull like block party permits where they shut down the street, it happened all the time in the East Village? And they would have their party.
But they do, that's what.
Yeah,
the
you can do that. That's true.
Sidewalk closed like for the plaza and stuff like that, you have to pull a permit.
Right, but you get a street too, not just this public plaza, so then the concept is that everybody on that street is welcome to that event. They don't go on to an unreasonable hour.
There's a lot of block parties within there. We're actually planning a Juneteenth block party, so we do have block parties in the city. Steve, any last comments?
Well, I tell you, I almost feel like withdrawing the resolution. Because I don't want to go through this once again, as Daryl points out, bring it to the full board and then have a whole bunch of people abstain and then it doesn't pass. So I really don't want to go through this exercise if it's not going to result in the community board finally taking a legitimate position. I mean, if you're okay with the hours, if you're okay with the idea that people should abide by the rules and follow the noise code, I don't know. I can't understand why somebody would not support the resolution. And
we'll speak offline. I have my recordings. We'll speak offline. This is just the committee vote. It passed the committee. It has to go to general board vote. We can speak offline to.
I mean, I would encourage you and others, you know, if there are other friendly amendments that can be added between now and then, that would help.
Yes.
Soothe
I think
whatever
the
objections people
amendment would
have.
Be great to change the time. Like 8 o'clock in the summertime is pretty early because it's daylight, still out. So maybe 9 o'clock.
I'm more concerned of the back-to-back things, because if she has an organization that's trying to have an event on Saturday, and I have an organization that does not want to play noise or use sound systems on Sunday, but now I'm limited because she was approved before I am, becomes an issue. That's where one of my worries and issues is.
Sounds like
But can we-
some fine tuning.
Yes, Jody.
That's my thought. It's like, I don't know that your idea is not a good one, and maybe we can fine tune what you're concerned about. I think what we really want to try to do is just look at these plazas and look at the residents that live around them. Like the River Arts that, you know, and see if we can make everybody a little bit happier. Because when you're coming home from work and you're tired and you're exhausted and your kid needs homework and they can't sleep and you can't sleep, that resident in that area is seriously compromised. But at the same time, should be able to do these festivals and have these experiences. They do them everywhere else in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we gotta just tweak it a bit.
We can, and we'll provide for them. I think it's a good idea. I think it's, maybe we'll work on.
My positive vote is presuming that we're gonna do this fine tuning,
Yes.
because I think, you know. As I said, you know, above a certain decibel level is actually harmful to the participants and especially young children, for example. So, and then the other thing which is really strange is there are even some animals who have no idea what the noise is when they just go crazy in their apartment. They don't understand. We have similar thing, we have jackhammers working on our buildings and there's some dogs, they just. Yeah. I almost go crazy myself, but.
We're
Under control.
probably approaching fireworks season. So we're now.
Apologies for repeating myself ad nauseam, but it really is the whole amplified sound thing. No one's really gonna complain about a party from 8 to 11 that does not have amplified music. Because kids will sleep through human voices. So to me, it's
Have
really,
you heard bachata or merengue?
I got a 13-year-old, so.
I'm gonna send you an example of bachata merengue song. We'll speak.
It doesn't have to be played at 120 decibels.
It's not, it's not.
A lot of our music includes live bands and stuff like that. So it's
Right.
again, we'll discuss and we'll add certain language. I think that if we could come to consensus. And we'll propose it to the board. Again, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Next item.
But it does pass in the committee, though. It does. Steve, it passes in the committee. I'm sure it will pass in your committee. And we also, we also have a different look to our board, so that says a lot. All right. Steve, any last words before we move on? It's 9:00 already.
Yes, 9:09.
The game is gonna start.
I started quite some time ago. It's probably over. Yeah, I actually gotta go pick up family members from you.
I mean, I just want to say on the back-to-back scheduling events back-to-back 2 days in a row, that is an issue. I mean, people, especially on weekends, want to have one day to relax. They want one day of relief from having constant noise penetrating into their apartments. And in fact, I was contacted today by somebody else in a different context, complaining about events in a park that was scheduled on both Saturdays and on both weekend days last weekend, this last weekend. So I think that's a legitimate issue, and if somebody has scheduled something on a Saturday, then you just need to pick another weekend. I mean, I think it's wrong to to just fill up the entire weekend with amplified sound.
Point takers, thank you, Steve. All right, so we have a couple of agenda items. They're actually pretty straightforward. So I want to discuss what traffic and transportation is now in May and what it will look like forward. So as you guys know, Anthony, I think, explained this, the exec committee, and he explained it to you guys in person. A lot of people will be turned down the next couple of years. How they break it down, he can explain better. But that being said, we passed the bylaws, recent, Darryl was part of that committee, where as a chair, we're limited to 3 years being chairperson for the committee. I'm not at my 3-year point. I'm not. But I do think that it's always good to promote new leadership because that's what keeps the board moving. I've been in chair for this for 2 years, for this committee, or 2 years. And I don't think it's necessary for me to drag out another year just because when I have other aspirations, other things that I'm working on in the board and outside of the board. That being said, I've spoken with Noemi, who's the vice chair, and we're gonna continue moving accordingly, but towards the end of this year, I'm gonna step down as chair. Probably still gonna be in the committee as a board member and as an advisor to her. But we're all looking at Melissa Sims to step in as the vice chair of this committee. That's been discussed with Anthony, myself, Tanisha, Melissa, Noemi. So we're gonna still continue working as a committee. We still need everyone's input, but that's what we're looking to do towards the end of this year.
So wait a minute, so you would become chair
Yes.
and then, okay, good.
And
I think that's brilliant.
co-chair.
You have to wear
Yeah.
that.
I will. I surely will.
But yeah, I'll still be a part of it until I get turned out, whatever that is. So I think it's next year. Or the year after. So that's one thing. Two, I think that we do a great job focusing on the southern tip of our district. I don't think we focus a lot north of 180th Street. And that's just a concern that not only I have noticed, but I've been told by the community board members, community residents who tune into YouTube, and including the agencies where they're like, you're focusing on certain areas, but we have other things that we want to bring to you, but we're still trying to respond to this area because we have a lot of advocacy for that area. So I know that Anthony, and this is, I think, why certain people were moved around. Anthony heard this and understood this and said, you know what, we're going to try to add and move certain people so that we can have representation from our full community or district. Not sure who's coming to the board. I know that we have 14 vacancies. and we're expected to have some appointees at the end of this month, not next month. So we're gonna get new board members. That's obviously I've advocated for them to include from certain, I think from 155th to about 180, 178, 180, we're covered. I think we have the majority, so most of us or most of you guys live. But the new members probably will be coming from north of 180th Street. And that's just so that we have eyes and ears all over our community. So we're advocating for different sections of our community. Yes.
I don't agree with that perspective that we ignore the northern part of the district. I've been on this committee for 7 years. We used to spend all our time in Inwood and areas up there and the George Washington Bridge, and we have stuff going on in the southern part of the district that's not getting done. That's why we're so agitated.
I got it. Well,
So,
for example,
so that's why we're vociferous, because stuff doesn't get done.
I agree. But for example, you're right. We have a huge push, but we don't pay attention to the Edgecombe area and the Macomb Bridge area of our district.
But
That's
but
been
do
historically.
people
kind of-
come to the meeting and complain?
So that's the issue. We don't have representation there. If we have some board members, and that obviously gets chosen by the board president, I haven't been to those. But if we have people that are in certain sections, then they're more likely to advocate or bring people who are live in the area versus right now, and you're right, I've been in the board, this committee for, this is my 5th year. 5 years,
I've been through 3 different chairs,
three different chairs, yeah.
and we got a lot of stuff done
And we
around.
do, cause Debbie,
Greenie with
chair, she was,
Debbie, we got a lot
she
done.
was part of one of your first area, yeah. So, and I'm, believe it or not,
Nicholas, I
I'm in
started with
Inwood,
Nicholas.
I'm in Inwood, and I advocate more for the southern part of our district. Being in Inwood. That's why Melissa was strategically placed in the committee, because she's also in Inwood. So like, well, it gives you another perspective from that area.
But where are the people in the community that are complaining to us?
So that's what we're trying to.
That's not our fault.
No, it's not at all. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get more people certain places so that we can speak to people, right? I have neighbors. I speak to my neighbors know I'm in the community board. So they speak to me about issues all the time. She has neighbors, I'm sure the same thing. You guys clearly have neighbors that speak to you and come to these meetings.
No.
So that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to ensure that we cover the full district so that we are doing what you guys are doing, which is advocating. I think
Okay.
that is brilliant that Jody sits down there and goes through these things, and that's why we'll never stop it, because at the end of the day, you're pushing for something to get done, and that's what this is about. We just wanted to make sure that we have other voices from other areas, and that has to do with outreach. It has to do with a lot of things that we're slowly working as a board to kind of.
If we compile a list of all the issues that are in the whole CB 12 and then prioritize them,
So yes, but in order for us to do
know
this,
what's going on further north.
see, that's so.
That
That goes to my next point, and Jody brought up something that we talked about a year ago. That's what I want to do, especially as we pass down the torch to these great women, is I want to make sure that we as committee members, and I'm pushing for Ann to be in this committee, to be honest. We go
Despite
and,
everything.
but we go and we have sections that we kind of go and follow up with.
Yeah.
Obviously, representation is certain end, but I think if as a committee, we say, hey, you cover, you like what the police does, where you have sections and you go and just see what's going on. Take a walk once a month, speak to the people around there if you can, and just kind of bring back those issues so that we know, okay, at this location, this is happening. This location is happening. Now we have eyes all over versus expecting people to come. The reality is no one's gonna come. People are busy. Some people don't know what a community board is, believe it or not. When I have to educate them, I'm like, what are you doing? This is where politics really starts. So that's really the push, is so that when they step in the role and we continue to be here or not, whatever happens, that we can all collaboratively and collectively work towards a full picture of things versus, you know what, we're just gonna focus on these areas. Because you're right, what's gonna end up happening is that they fill a community with people in Inwood, then the shift kind of goes the other way, and I don't want that. I really want us to, on these issues.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yes.
I agree with you. I think it's frustrating. Like we've had like 2 meetings now close to Inwood, and like the one that we had at Columbia, like it was posted all over, like the Inwood owners association, all these other, and I feel like nobody showed up.
Yeah.
Nobody from Inwood showed up. So I mean, I don't know what can be done, because it was posted way outside of the community board. And we showed up and there was nobody from outside, from the community there. So yeah, I agree with you. It's frustrating.
I think people show up and join committees when they have something to gripe about,
That's very true.
you know, and so maybe there is an abundance of shit going on in the lower part of right now, and so maybe it is tilted, you know, and maybe if there was, you know, there were projects getting ignored or left behind or undone in other section in Inwood, people would show up. Yeah, I mean, that's what got Darley and I did.
Traffic and, you know, the charter school, there's been things that have been hit on.
Yeah.
It turns out that sense I get is because we have hybrid meetings, people just don't show up at the in-person part of the meeting. Now, and this may be solved for us come July first or whenever it is, because they may not renew, you know, the open meetings law is gonna revert back to totally in-person meetings come July unless they extend it, which they may not. And then we'll be back in the sort of old regime where, you know, if you want to talk to the community board, you actually have to come to the meeting. So, you know, years ago, we had a meeting in Inwood and it seemed, that it was in fact in the auditorium of IS 52. And it seemed like all of Inwood was there and they were quite loud about it too. In fact, one of them, when I got up to speak, charming people, some of them said to me, stand up, stand up. Of course, I was already standing, but they calmed down. But, ironically, even though I think, you know, it seems initially that hybrid meetings will bring in more people, I don't really think they have.
Yeah, I don't think
So if there was a list of all the DOT issues in CB 12, ongoing projects, well, sure there is, it's on the website, but nobody's compiled it. And MTA issues, and we went through it every month and checked things off and talked to Alberto, and Lyle doesn't tell us what's going on unless we ask him.
Even if we do.
You know, we could have a better consciousness of the landscape of Inwood and Washington Heights and be able to say, hey, we need to stick somebody here or call them and get them in here. But we don't do that.
We don't.
And I'm not blaming you or anybody.
No.
So I'm as bad as
His fault. Everything's his fault.
everything's his fault.
No, we don't. That's kind of where I'm at. Where
That's the consciousness that we need to have there.
Mhm.
And there are, the data's out there. We just don't compile it or we haven't talked about it.
And that's why I propose that as committee members, we really own in and kind of take a section.
Okay.
Because if we go on, I think Jody and might be the only one that does remote. She goes through the results, she goes through what we discussed, she takes notes, and then she follows up with it.
Right.
And as you saw her list didn't only consist of the Sullivan. She mentioned 180s, she mentioned something further down by Fort George Hill, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think it's fair for one person to do it. I think it has come from all of us. And we can, go ahead, Jody.
And I
It should
think
come
your
from
point-
the agencies.
And well, I think it's gotta be both, Bruce, a little bit, but I think that your point is that. When I do this, I went through the resos and I know the ones I know, and they're the ones I live by. And that's where Leo and I started to have a conversation. And then I started to look at the other ones and I can spit them out, but I honestly don't know them. I don't know the street. I don't know when I'm talking about those 2 parking spaces that have to remove from Amsterdam on Onewood. I don't know it and I don't understand it. Where someone that could take that reso and be the one that speaks about it, it would be really helpful. And then you're by it, you're seeing it, you're walking by it, you know whether it's being done or not. I mean, honestly, the reso, if you sent that list and he looked at it and said, you know, half of these I've done, well, I don't know that they haven't been done. But I think if we just started, because I like your idea. But I think if we just started with what our committee has identified as problems and written resos on, if we look just the 3 of us here at what we've been doing in our community below 165th Street, we know them all. And we've written the resos on these. And I think the same, if we could divide up the two Inwood people and really make you sort of commit to the resos that we've already written and write the resos that we're gonna write for the future. If I'm gonna write eventually something on this embankment, it should be me.
Well, yeah, you're, that
And
has
it
next month,
should-
so.
And it should also be me that writes the 165 in Fort Washington.
Because you know it better than anybody.
Because well, at least it's
At least in the
me and I walk by it all the time.
And going to Bruce Point, so sorry, Darrell. Going to Bruce Point, and this was gonna come on news business, but thank you for bringing it up. So Brooklyn Community Board 6 actually has something on their webpage where you can go and report DOT issues. So parking issues, milling issues, street pothole issues, speed issues. They have a survey where your residents can go on, and just like a 311 complaint, but it comes to the board and then we address it at the.
That's
board.
brilliant.
That's
And
great.
like a
So one of the
Lake
things we
Road.
don't do is we don't get feedback from 311 reports, right? We don't get any kind of connection with 311
Not necessarily.
because I emailed you guys about this noise
Yes, that
monitor
was
on
gonna be point of
158 and John Carlos sent me this whole information about other areas and I told him go file 311, so he's been doing that, but that doesn't, there's no feedback loop
No, we don't get any.
to the community board. So you're saying CB6 does something like that?
Yeah, so it's not tied directly to 311, it's their version of 311. So instead of going and it goes 311 and they disseminate and push it to whatever agency and it goes nowhere, CB6 in Brooklyn has some type of form, Google form where people go on their website and file like a 311 complaint. Oh, there's a pothole in this
Is
area.
it more effective getting something done than 311?
I think it
So
is
people
for
have
our
to file
purpose.
things twice.
I think for our purposes, it would be because at that point, then we have it on our table and we could address it at the
Right.
committee
Okay,
and at the district service cabinet.
so I don't want to replace 311 though.
No, we're not
No.
replacing 311. You can still file, you should file a 311 complaint.
But
But-
you're saying file 311, but then file something with the community board.
Yes,
And that's double duty and people aren't gonna do that.
if you want, like you said, the squeaky wheel gets.
Depends on how angry they are.
Yeah.
It's gonna be annoying, it's tedious, but I
It's
think
more
that
work.
it allows us to see what's going on versus waiting for someone, like you said, if they don't come from them, I can't force
But
them.
why don't we just have 311 funnel us complaints for our neighborhood?
We can go and do that ourselves.
It's an open
That's
data
a-
source.
Not open data, but.
Yeah.
If Bruce, if you wanna take on the responsibility as a committee, I would entertain it and you bring us. the
No,
311
all I'm
complaint.
saying is you guys at the executive committee, you can call up Mamdani and say, hey, what's about the open data source in 311? Give it, funnel us reports from.
Bruce,
I think
I
that's.
also have
something
a lot of work
That's
and life.
something the staff can.
They have a lot of,
I know they have
I
other
think,
things to
well,
do.
I think,
That makes sense.
yeah, but I think by doing that, we're putting ourselves where you're adding more work. The staff and nobody likes to acknowledge it. They have a lot of work.
But CB6 is doing what you just said.
No, they're doing, exactly, they're doing it through a web form. They're not going to 311 or getting, they're putting it on themselves and saying, hey,
But
listen.
somebody at CB6 has to read the web form.
Yes.
That's more work.
Well, I think it's more work if you have it funneled and go, because it goes to the agencies and you have to follow up with the agency. If we get this, for example, let's say I get it, we will all get these forms. It wouldn't just be Leo as a chair, it would be everyone. Then we can all respond to the
Well, this
agency.
is kind of an AI thing.
I don't think it's an AI,
This
it's
is
pretty
where
simple.
AI can be helpful.
Could be helpful.
It could be.
Just read the reports and summarize
Kind
it.
of thing.
Huh?
Sorry, Dan.
What's that?
Invent all kinds of things.
No, it's
So
just
I was just gonna say, I live in the middle. I'm in the one, one just off 181st. And so the things I brought up today were from when I walked here, or from when I walked to Nagel Avenue. If I lived in, your neighborhood, I'm not walking to their neighborhood, sorry. And vice versa. It's a long way to go, but I'm able to see some of that. And I think when the meetings started being hybrid, when I was on the Parks Committee, still on the Parks Committee, but we would have meetings in different parks. We can't do that now with hybrid. It would be nice if we could go to Kiskaya Plaza,
Yeah.
have a meeting outdoors.
Oh,
And then go
Hybrid maybe
to the
just-
plaza here, have a
Yeah.
meeting outside.
But I think this takes some I'll be curious to see how the CB6 thing works, because it's not easy.
No, it's not easy, but I think if you have at least a form, because again, we can pull the data from 311. You're right. It's a lot of work. I'm telling you because I do it for my job, and it's not as cookie cutter as
You pull data from 311?
Yeah, I can show you the process. It's actually it's pretty tedious. And I do it for my project in the area because I have to filter through complaints, construction related. So, but I think what this form would allow us is that specifically we can identify certain things that we discuss in certain areas, right? We can cater the questions to location, what is the problem, you could, and then kind of work at where we all receive these forms, and then depending on your section, you kind of bring it up on the table. I think as a chair, and I hope as we move on, and you guys, whoever comes after you guys, allow people to really take ownership and really do the work, right? This is not Leo's committee, and I've always said traffic transportation committee starts with you guys and me. So I think by pushing this forward, one, we're being proactive, because like you said, there's certain areas that we just won't get to, but we can start pushing it as a board and really, really cater and filter those concerns or those issues in our community, traffic and transportation related. And then if the office wants to take on responsibility, which I doubt, it's a lot of work, then we can start getting deeper with 301 complaints and stuff like that. And because 301 shouldn't be your first line. I think that's everyone's first line. Fred had a
I have worked in the Wisconsin State Legislature. This is constituent service. The only issue there is that me as a dedicated staff person to solve these issues. But I'm not so sure that you really have the time and energy to do it. So I would wait a couple of months, see how it's really working and see.
Oh, they had it for, I think it's 2 years now,
How many complaints do they get?
I can reach out and kind of get some data with them to see how it actually.
You're all gonna be calling Lyle, I mean,
So-
if at that point that you're reaching out, you're doing what the council member or somebody else should be doing. I don't know that it's particularly appropriate. I think it's a lot of work. And I get the point, like you're getting data feedback, you're getting more eyes on the neighborhood, which is the idea of getting the members from up north. There will be more members that speak Spanish on this board. Obviously, neighborhood's 80% Spanish speaking. This board is not, get it? And so that would help get more eyes and ears and more information. Same thing with this. It's just, you have to be careful. It's opening a can of worms that you may not have the staff to execute it at all. And I know when I called Lyle about my pet project of 177th Street, people double park there 24/7, 365 Christmas Day. I got no one.
That's the bottleneck.
Yeah.
But it's something to consider. Again, not saying necessarily we're gonna implement this tomorrow. It's just floating ideas so that we can actually be a bit more proactive.
Yeah. I think just one thing I did observe, and it's not anybody's fault, but what I think happens a lot in these committees is that the chair, it falls on, I mean, you're writing the resos, you're writing Naomi's writing the minutes, you're helping the minutes, but there is a sense that, okay, see you, this is a great meeting, and it all in the end falls on you. And so the only thing that I feel is that, if we can help in some way to spread the wealth a little bit, I think we have to do that.
And you mentioned that plenty of times, and you have, so I really do appreciate. But yes, that's really the point of it. A lot of falls on the chair. The reality is that we're not building leaders. We're removing Bruce, for example. Bruce was on the board for 8-9 years. Bruce,
8 years.
When you left, we lost the wealth of knowledge.
When what?
When you left the board, even though you're still in some capacity, you're part of the board. But when you left,
I'm doing more work now than I did before. I'm writing a resolution for business development for the bid.
Okay.
Yeah, we got, you guys.
Yeah.
Guys,
we passed the.
I wrote that with Wayne.
Which is interesting.
Anyway, so I'm not going anywhere.
But that being said, it's a wealth of knowledge we lose when people kind of leave, right? If you remove me as a chair, you guys know a lot, but you're removing some type of, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't
Right.
fall on one person.
Yeah.
She should be able to, if you remove me.
Every organization has institutional memory.
Exactly.
It's hard to catalog it and maintain it, because if Jim were to leave tomorrow, what would we do?
Chaos.
It would be chaos.
The point is that, half of the board will probably be gone a year from now.
Yes, this is the point.
including me, including Catherine, including Wayne. Anyone who's been here, most of it, you know.
Well, term limits, may not be the best thing.
Well, my point is that generally, in my view, you shouldn't need term limits for an appointed position. Because if the appointing authority decides we've had enough of this, Bruce, then it's not like, oh, you bamboozled the population into voting for you. They can unilaterally say enough of Bruce or enough of Jim. But yet our genius, elected official created these term limits.
And we voted for.
And, I would say the point of the bylaws too, when it comes to committee chairs. Was you don't need to be chair, you don't need to be doing the agenda
Yes.
to be an expert or vice versa.
To be active, yes.
Some chairs like to hold on. But it's, you can still serve admirably without, having a title.
Yes.
So there's two issues going on. This one is bringing new people in who represent different areas that have not been represented thus far.
Well, not necessarily
And
bring
the
new
other is,
people.
what
I
do you
think we
do?
can work.
How do you
with
shuffle the
us.
deck every couple of years
When they
because
get
of
to-
term limits? That's what we're doing now, and you're presenting this to us early in advance, so we won't be in shock when you disappear in August or September.
Well, I'll be, it's at least November, December, then I'm.
Okay.
I'm down. But yes, I don't think we're trying to bring in anyone to the committee. I think we have people who do the work. Within the committee, I would just like for us to each take a section and say, hey, listen.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily reshuffling again. But to the second point, yes.
Not moving to Inwood though.
As
much as I love Inwood, I can't,
Could be my neighbor. I gotta
Seat on the subway there.
I didn't know what you meant.
If we get a free Omni card,
Inwood, I just, I'm too old to
No.
move.
But that's the point. It's that, the point is that
They made that a
as-
trap,
as-
I switched it up.
there's a new turnover. As the turnover happens, we want to make sure that everybody has adequacy to really step into the role and not
Yeah.
necessarily feel like, I don't want to step into leadership. Obviously, if you're busy, that's different. This is not paid. But nobody should have a fear or feel like they can't do the role when you do it. I think all of us do it in some capacity, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where
Well,
I'm
one
going.
other piece that you didn't mention, true, I think on all of our committees, you're the chair, but most of us go out of the way to try to be helpful to you.
Yes, very.
So. Therefore, you don't have to be the great expert, but, because everyone is gonna help you. There's a committee effort.
Should be balanced, yeah. So I just wanted to give you some of what's talks are going on, because you guys are gonna hear about it, and I think as a committee, we're a board, so we're a family, but we're a little closer, because I see you guys a little more often than see other people. And I wanna make sure that if anybody's on, we're the exemplary committee, where we show that the torch can be passed down and we can all be active, and we go out and. All right, so old business. July 2027, we have the hearing. We were supposed to have hearing this.
7th, is that when it is?
Yeah, July 15th, 2027.
And then you'll send us something.
Yeah, yes, and we're working on the flyers and the outreach. We were supposed to have,
This is the parking.
yes, 2026, July 2026.
It's down.
Sorry. Sorry.
27.
I'm being told 2027 next, no, 2026. July 15th, 2026 is when we have the parking hearing. We're gonna throw a bunch of things in, but alternate side parking will be on that. Enforcement and YPD will be joining us for that. Residential parking will be on the agenda. We were supposed to have another hearing this month, but we were advised and recommended to speak about the noise in the plazas during this committee meeting and during these, so that we can kind of focus attention on parking as a standalone item at July. So we're gonna do extensive outreach. I encourage everybody to tell their neighbors. I think this is one that has to have. No, we're working on that now between the board office and Anthony. They're working for it. We're probably gonna start having a flyer sometime at the end of this month. And then we have a team or a couple of interns coming in June. So they'll be doing some outreach. The board office will be doing outreach. I will be doing outreach. And I encourage you guys to do outreach in your community, in your neighborhood, in your on your blocks. So that's coming up. If you have any suggestions, if you want to volunteer, if you want to help out with this, again, please jump on board. It's a lot of work. And again, I would love to see a huge turnout.
Where is?
We're working on the location, but we're looking for something.
I know, it's big.
That's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
United Palace.
All right, so follow up on the land use resol. So we passed it as a board, but we passed it in the exec, then it went to the board. The hearing was sometime last Tuesday. There was a day. The BSA took our comments. They were grateful for it. They extended more comments so we can provide more comments, but they're just taking a look to see certain things. From my understanding, Wayne and Anthony attended, and we want to encourage our community, so we took a stance as a board that we don't agree with the zoning for them to do certain things there and for a school to be there, period. So we already took a stand, but we want to encourage our community, especially the people in that area, community residents, businesses, parents, to kind of advocate for themselves. So, Miami, I'm not sure if they reached out to you already, but we're gonna leverage you, CC, for parents associations, et cetera, so that because Zeta did pretty well, and that the hearing, the youth and education hearing, they got a huge turnout of their people, and they kind of angled it to be something that it wasn't. But they have when they went to the hearing, they mentioned that we had certain amount of signatures that people show up in support, and then we only have the board saying, "Hey, we don't take this stand." We are also encouraging NYPD to write something. DOT and MTA will provide comments later on this month. But I think in order for us to really put a pause on this project, it also has to come from the community, not just from the representatives, which are us. So that's just where it is. Again, they should be reaching out to you soon. I know that they want you really involved with that, so that you can rile the troops on that side, not bored. You know, so we don't want to go as a board saying, "Hey, this is what we want." More so that if you guys really don't want it, then you guys should really be coming out picking friends, not us. Going to new business, we discussed that Brooklyn CB6 has that thing on the website. Last month, Brooklyn CB6 and the Bronx Community Board 6 passed the resolution, pretty much asking the city elected, the local elected officials to move the responsibility of park enforcement from NYPD to DOT. It was like that prior to 1996. Something happened. I can't tell you. I haven't done that research myself. Maybe someone else knows, but it was transitioned to NYPD, and the reality is down NYPD staff, but it takes away from their actual jobs, even though enforcement shouldn't be their job. But it takes away from other aspects of the job, especially with being in the staff. So it's something that I don't think we should pass the resolution right now, but I think we should start discussing if we're on the same page. Now,
Not on that page at all. I think the cops should be forcing. I personally feel that it appears, let's put it that way, that they're not that interested in this petty enforcement of these silly little things, then they can bust Osama bin Laden who's hiding in a sewer somewhere, you know? So I think because I remember when it was done by DOT and their enforcement agents got no respect whatsoever. I mean, they were beat up all the time. And no one's gonna beat up someone, well, it's less likely they'll beat up someone in a blue uniform. As the so, as well.
I mean, we do.
So,
have
but again,
safe-
it's something we will discuss.
Safest, 33rd is one of the safest precincts in the city.
Yeah. I don't know.
Has the lowest crime rate.
I don't know. That's
Yeah, just ask Maria Luna. You know,
oh yeah, she's the president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, it turns out in the day, when this place was the crack capital of the world,
There was no 33rd.
not only that, but there was no street crime because it interfered with the business of the drug
Right,
dealers.
right,
And so you could walk down the street with impunity.
Yeah.
No one would bother you.
right.
It's great.
But
Great.
we don't want that back.
No, but the streets were safe. That's the whole point.
Yeah, well,
So-
you know, safe is safe, but
Well, I had
Right.
neighbors, you know, the lookouts would help them with their shopping
Yeah.
wagons and they were very.
but they also
tolerant
took
about
over
it.
buildings, like on 61st Street.
Oh, there was a building right across the
161.
street from where I used to live.
Yeah,
You know, half of the apartments were drug bureaus. They had
Right.
factories.
and Giuliani went into 161 and shut down the whole street, and then they built the 33rd.
Mhm. Well, the third.
The history.
Think was much
The
too
history.
big and.
But you have.
I will second that, yes, the reason that it went from DOT to NYPD was the risk of their lives, that was. And then thinking forward, do we know anything about this agency, curbside management?
No, Lau hasn't really, I kind of brought it up to Lau, and he said that he's willing to listen, but I don't think DOT want that. So they don't have the personnel, so that would.
Well, it's an agency, it's not in DOT. I mean, from what I understand, there will be a Department of Curbside Management and it is a standalone.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, they can solve it, not beating up the agents,
What color will their uniform be?
right?
Brown ones don't work for me.
Gray.
They worked in Nazi Germany, but no one.
But that's an obvious place to move parking enforcement, because obviously the NYPD doesn't do it. It's not like the NYPD officers
I think
and
that's
the
the
traffic
issue.
officers are totally different.
Yes,
Probably
they
have
are.
different payroll structures, different
Oh,
retirement
they do.
structures,
Yeah,
different
definitely.
cars.
Mm-hmm.
And an officer will only write you a ticket if you're in the spot. That's the only reason they will. And they won't write it for any other reason.
Will we go home soon?
Yes, I think.
You're missing your game?
No, it's open. I think we should definitely take a look at the Office of Curb Management. That might be something that they might be considering. I have to do some more research on it. And then maybe we can invite them to one of our meetings once this time, just to see.
They had the job for the assistant commissioner. Which I applied for, but I heard back, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too high a role. Here's a policy. Also, like, you know, between that and because obviously Sean Abreu is now highly embedded as the traffic person, transportation person. Maybe there are some sea changes and if you can find out the inside intel, you know, we can avoid duplicating, pointing ourselves in the wrong direction.
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna go on that route. I think reaching out, doing some research and then reaching out to the Office of Urban Management. And kind of gonna see if that's something that they follow the direction and now. So the reality is that NYPD is understand. Every time I talk to 34 people, they're like, we're trying to get there. We're trying to get there. And it's kind of the same thing over and reality is that they have half the amount of people. These pieces. And that's something to discuss some other time. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of put that out for you guys to think about it. I'm gonna forward you. I was looking for, I couldn't find Bronx CB6. Let me send me the Brooklyn CB6 one. So I'm gonna send it to you guys so you guys can take a look.
It was still, isn't it the Bronx and the Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Bronx one.
Okay.
I couldn't find the Brooklyn.
Yeah, so once I find the other one, I'll send it to you guys and we can take a look. And then just, again, it's a discussion. If you want to take something from it, we can. If you want to go another route, that's fine by me. We just want to kind of exaggerate this problem. And I think that the parking issues hearing will also tie into that. So it's good to have something by that.
If it's not too early to make a motion.
To go ahead at one. By Daryl, two by
No, I have,
All right.